What's going on? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another live stream here. If you're new, my name is Zach. This is Real Deal Futures. Before we jump into it, let me actually make sure I can see you guys. You guys can hear me. Yeah, this looks nice. This looks good. What's going on, chat? Before we jump right into it, make sure you read what's on the screen. Trading's risky. Most traders do lose money. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't provide financial advice. Nothing you see or hear from me here or anywhere else is a suggestion or recommendation to do anything. Do your own research. Make your own trading decisions. Read CFTC Rule 4.41 on simulated trading, which is what this is, even in funded prop firm accounts, and the affiliate and partnership disclaimer that says I stand to make money from links and codes in my content, like Top 1 Futures, code RDF, bookmap, and others. Cannot stand to be unbiased if I stand to make money. Now, before we get started and bring in a special guest today, we got Luna Trades coming on the show. I want to take a minute because we had some changes from Top 1 Futures on their rule changes. I'm going to share this real quick. I'm going to run through it because I'm sure we're going to get questions on it, and I would prefer just to talk about it right on the front end. This way I can refer guys back to the beginning of the video. So they rolled out this news change unannounced, wasn't aware of it myself, didn't get to have conversation or anything like that with them on the front end. This is straight from the email. Essentially what we're looking at is max loss limit going from 6,000 to 4,500. So they're tightening up on max loss limit. The profit target is now 6% from 5%. So that means instead of 7,500, you have to make 9,000. Minimum trading days, there's 10, but the anytime payouts add-on is free. Not that big of a deal, but something to pay attention to if that anytime payout add-on isn't free. And then profit split. They are going from the first 20K 100% to 90-10 from the beginning. So just to like comment on it so you guys know where my head's at on it. Not super stoked on it, right? Not happy about it at all. Not happy with the frequency of changes, obviously, right? I like the most competitive, best bang for my buck. And in this initial instant funded, sim funded environment here, we're losing a lot of the nice edge that's been over the competition. I'm still bullish overall on Top 1. I think their CEO has been very transparent as to why they have to make these changes. You could head straight to the Discord, watch the video for yourself. They were at the top of Payout Junction, which is a third-party tracking site that they were paying out a lot more than all of the other firms. And obviously that's just not sustainable. So they came in really, really aggressive. They, acknowledge and apologize that they grossly underestimated how good everybody was going to trade and, how flexible they could be in the rule set. But, as a whole, as a trader myself, not stoked on it, right? Not happy about it. Not liking to get no warning. And, it's tough to deal with changes. All firms, do change rules as they go. Ones that continually tighten up on the trader are a little bit tough to handle. And, a frequency of changes that we've had, from Top 1 out of the rip, is tough to deal with. So this is for new accounts only. I'm not going to stick my neck out and say that this won't be changed to old accounts, which happened in the past where they offered refunds and, some consolation. But right now it is for new accounts. If you're trading on an account from yesterday, same stuff that you're dealing with, but they dropped this yesterday. Wanted to talk about it, kind of let you know where I'm at with it. Still gonna be trading with them. Again, guys, do your own research, make your own decisions, right? Plenty of options. If you say, hey, you know what? That's a red flag. I'm chilling out there. Tradeify, Take Profit Trader. I'm partnered affiliated with both of those guys, code RDF. Not partnered or affiliated with Top Step, but obviously, a solid name. I'm still max funded with them with accounts on backup. Project X over there as well. So that's the thought process here. Don't want to turn this into an entire conversation about Top 1 rule changes. We could talk about it in Discord, but wanted to go over what they were, give you my thoughts, my 2 cents, and then move on to our trading day because the markets are open 9:32 a.m. Eastern. Let me get my chart pulled up and going to go ahead and get ready to bring in special guest for the day, Luna Trades. What's going on? He's in the background right now. Let's see if I can get him brought on right now. What's going on, my brother?
Yo, what's up? What's up, everyone?
Happening? There we go.
Thanks for having me. It's such a pleasure. This is the first time I've been on someone else's stream.
Awesome, man. Appreciate you coming on. If you guys don't know, this is Luna Trades. I'm going to make sure Luna, if you can, check that banner down on the bottom. Make sure I got your name right. But Luna's a crypto billionaire whale in hiding. No. But yeah, man, tell us a little bit about yourself if you don't mind. Kind of, your intro to trading, where you're at before we start trying to chop up these markets.
Yeah, well, like any other like crypto native, I can sit here and talk about crypto forever and keep going on and on about my crypto story because crypto, it's like what in the last, I've been in crypto now for about almost 8 years, 7 years trading really since 2017. And I was just buying Bitcoin because I believed in it. And then by the end of that bull run, at the end of 2017, um, I had built up a little bit for me. It wasn't huge, it was like 20K or something like that. And I was buying like 200 bucks of Bitcoin here, 50 bucks there. It all added up. And I even flipped it a few times and made some trades. And that's when I became a trader. Like right when Bitcoin was really rallying towards 20,000, I made a few trades while it was like really volatile, flipped my stack a few times, and I was done. I was like, I'm a trader now, and I yeah, gave it all
That was
back in
the end.
2018. And it drove me to want to learn how to trade, and I've been swing trading ever since then.
Nice, nice. And you've made your way over to futures. I know you're trading a bunch of different prop firms. How's that been so far?
It's been really fun, which is a funny word to use for it, but it's been really hard. It's one of the most difficult things. And day trading was always something I thought I was like, okay, yeah, day trading's impossible. Like I got swing trade, but to become a professional trader, which it became a big part. Just to give a little more of that background, it became a big part of my life, and it's been my main income for the past 7 years trading. So it's been bigger than any of my other incomes, and I wanted to treat it that way and treat it as a business. So in 2019, I made a business for my trading, and since then, I've been trying to treat my business or my trading as a business, and I still do. I felt like the swings, right? I had months where I was down, a year where I was down. I had years that were really good, and I was like, how could I want more consistency in my life, right? And as I get older and think about things or having a partner or having a family, like I want to build, like, feel like I can depend on it, and that it's something that brings me, there's another word I'm thinking about, but whatever, sustainability and something
Yeah.
that I can count on. And
Sure.
I didn't feel that way. So I felt like day trading was the only way to do that, where I closed my trades by the end of the day and kind of spread out the risk over the year. Maybe I have a bad week, but the odds I think are better that over the long term, the variance will balance out, and that um, I felt more comfortable wanting to learn how to day trade than stay swing trading, because I thought maybe the market changes and I'm not good at trading crypto anymore. Crypto's becoming mainstream. Everything could change. I thought day trading was the way.
Yeah. Nice.
And that led me
Nice.
to
No.
futures.
Yeah.
That led me to Top Step, I found Rips. I studied Rips. And then since then, I just went down the rabbit hole. In the beginning, I was watching like Top Step TV. And since then have just kind of found my own way.
It's awesome, man. It's awesome. Crazy backstory all the way into futures. Yeah, man, it's a good medium for it. The prop firm thing is interesting, but like you were saying, it's really non-linear, right? The trading journey as a whole, and then as income, super non-linear. It's crazy to try to wrap our heads around. But that's awesome, dude. Happy to have you on the show. Thanks for jumping on. I'm going to do a little bit of analysis just for the chat, for the guys that are on all the time. We got a pretty wild market to trade here on this Friday. Very volatile. We got some comments out of Trump. I'm going to run my chat through real quick, the same way I always do. Taking a look at the daily real quick. Pretty gnarly down week. We've opened up and really had a larger down day on, what is this, Wednesday? Thursday was a little bit of an indecision move, but sweeping down below prior day's low, closing right around that prior day close, and now large movement down. Obviously, this is fundamental news driven. I'm really the technical trader just to stare at the chart, but this is looking pretty sketchy. That's my professional technical analyst term there. Super duper sketchy to the downside. Really bearish. If I drop down to the 1 minute just to take a look at where we're at on my chart, we're still down below prior day low, although we've bounced off of this 5750s in ES, the kind of that overnight low, started to consolidate down there, back up to VWAP right now, really climbing right through this open. But one thing I'll definitely note, whatever market you're trading, if you're on ES, you're on NASDAQ, this is volatile, right? Like we are moving considerably in this market. There's quite a bit of movement out of these candles. Just looking at some higher time frame perspective, if we started, let me get my VWAP set back. If we started to sell off really, really aggressively, I think we could make it down towards the this zone that I have marked here, this first one, the 5680s, let's say to the 5660s, just coming off of this area of high volume. If I throw it on the hourly, I think it's another, really, really big area of high volume, a lot of consolidation, high volume node. If we start to push to the upside, I could see us coming back first to this area of consolidation from yesterday, maybe prior days, point of control. And if we're going to completely just turn this around, which not past us in this market, like anything can happen these days, I could see us, obviously pushing towards prior days high, going to sweep that. So right now, kind of unbiased, just hanging out. Want to see if we come back to retest VWAP and turn down really aggressively, retest prior day low and turn down really aggressively. That could be really interesting. Along with that, just a quick comment on bookmap. We got liquidity down to the 5750s, pretty large stack right around that 5750, down below this overnight low level. We're looking at 258 orders on the book down there. Up above price, the 5810s and 15s. Yeah, 5810s right up here. We got another 200 lot on the book. Looks like 210 up there. So I'm biased. I'm going to hang out. I'm not looking to just run myself into the ground on this crazy Friday, but I'm going to look for trades the way that I always do. I don't have a trade setup coming just yet. I want to see what happens up here. We turn all the way back down aggressively. It's going to be very different than if we continue to climb. So that's my thought process on ES. Luna, what are you trading this morning? I can actually share your screen.
Go for it. I'm all ready to go. So I took some trades, but because of the conditions, I didn't take I was trying to stay safe, and I just traded in one combine. So I'm stacked up with some funded accounts like you. I have my max on Top Step, and I have my max on Top One Futures, for example. So I have both of those accounts pulled up here, and I didn't want to trade my funded accounts with this drop. I had a potential setup, so I'm trading mostly MNQ. Sometimes I do minis, but in the end, even with my 150Ks, the way I trade and my stop loss size and stuff, minis works better for me. And I kind of risk a set amount depending on the size of the account. So so I'm trading just NQ, like I said. I'm not trading ES, even though I've tried to trade ES a little bit. But right now, I can even just show this. If you don't, I don't think you mind, right? I can show whatever, right? So on my Top One Futures here, I don't want to
whatever, but
more than
almost
1,000.
whatever.
Yeah, well, yeah. You don't have some sort of exclusive thing,
No.
So,
we're gonna keep it safe for work and family friendly, though.
Of course not. Yeah,
I'm joking around, but go ahead.
Yeah, when it comes to firms, so I'm max risk per trade on my Top One Futures. I'm trying to risk around $700. And my results have showed me after tons of forward testing. I can just show you right here in my trade log, for example. I try to log all my trades. I got a lot of forward testing. Actually, for years, I have years of crypto forward testing too. And so with futures, though, I found that I kind of had to go back to like a baby and start fresh. And I'm trading in a way I normally don't trade in my personal accounts with crypto. I'm trading a little more systematically. So I have a setup that's required before I enter a trade. So right now I'm trading two setups. And really, my main thing that's helped me with my crypto, especially, is just risk management. So with crypto, I don't have a setup that I trade. I buy the dip and I trade spot, and I just manage my risk really strictly. So that's the most important thing to me. So that's why I go first to saying, how much am I willing to lose per trade? So on Top One Futures, I'm willing to risk up to $700 per trade. On my Top Step 50K XFAs, I'm trying to risk no more than $300 per trade ever. On my PAs, I'm a little more aggressive. I have some Apex PAs. I'm risking up to 600 on Tradeify, 25Ks, $150 max risk, 150Ks back to that $1,000 max risk. I have a TPT Pro risking up to 300. So that's my rules. Those are very strict numbers. That's the most important thing to me, because I could lose that for a day and be fine always.
Yep.
Really, how I manage my risk in my personal accounts and what I try to do on prop firms is managing my risk based on my allowed drawdown and my win rate. So I look at my win rate, and I know there's a % chance I lose X amount of trades out of the next 50 or out of the next 20 or out of the next 10, and I don't want to ever blow my account. So I pretty much divide my allowed drawdown depending on what my win rate is. So for example, it's I can divide by 8, and I know there's a 7% chance that I lose 8 trades in a row out of the next 50. So if I'm dividing my account balance by 8 and always adjusting that, then I'll actually really rarely ever blow an account. This account's a little bit newer. If you mind me keep going off a little bit here.
No, go ahead.
This account is a little bit newer here. And, this is from May when I started with Top One Futures. And so this is just trading one of my strategies. And then on I have two accounts here on Top Step that are like from September, so I'm going to use those as the example right now. Just to be honest about that, I have some that are a little bit newer here, but like here's one of my ones from September, and this is also trading that same strategy that's on that other account. And we can see here I've gotten chopped up, but I've never blew this account since September, whatever.
Yeah, held on to it, man.
19th.
Super. That's the super impressive part is just the longevity, and it comes from risk management, right? Doing the basic math. What's my win rate? How much do I want to risk per trade? What's my max loss limit? And really sticking to that. Here's the big question. How do you stick to it, Luna? How do you stick to that good risk management when you do the math? And you took us through that first piece.
Well, for one, I don't always. And so
Okay.
so the fact that I've held this account, it shows something there, because I do go on tilt sometimes and I do have those issues. So
Yep.
things like how I manage overall my accounts, not always copy trading, and kind of like something I've done that has bled over from the way I trade my personal accounts is I look at my last week, my last month, and my last 100 trades. So that's how I do my swing trades. And if I see my win rates going down with the given conditions, the market and everything, then I will actually reduce my size. And naturally, I think I kind of do it with prop firms too. If I have a really hard week, I'm more likely to start reducing my size or stop copy trading. So right now I'm copy trading groups since I have like 22 funded. I don't want to take 22 trades. So I'm doing like groups of 3 or 4 pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
My top one futures I'm trading individually since I only have 350Ks. But so diversifying between different prop firm accounts has helped me with my day trading, to be honest. I haven't had these results in every account.
Yeah.
And then other than that, man, just feeling the pain, time and experience. Like when I started prop firms, I'd blow so many accounts. And meanwhile, with crypto, I never once blew my account. I've never reinvested in my trading since 2017. I'm using my trading profits to buy prop firms. So that has given me a kind of cushion that I know a lot of people don't have. And I'm very fortunate to have that cushion. But really just the pain, man. I've blown huge. I've lost like $40,000 on one trade, and that teaches you.
Yeah.
That's the tuition I've paid.
Awesome, dude. No, this is great, man. Thanks for taking us through it. For sure. Yeah, learning from trial by fire, right? Kind of learning from those losses. But yeah, I'll agree. I talk about that a lot. Having outside source of income, super helpful. Not everybody does have that, but super helpful if you want to make a real run at it. I'm gonna ask the question. I'm sure the chat's gonna get ready to ask. Can you take us through just the basics of a trade, a setup? You don't gotta give us all of the sauce, but like if you're looking at NQ today, maybe a good example is kind of what do you see on the chart? What would have to happen for you to take a trade?
Yeah, so I
this
have
morning?
like zones where I'm looking to take trades from. Essentially, I mean, I could look at it on like a top-down approach too. So we could pull up like a daily chart here, and I could kind of start to draw. I have some zones here that I'm interested in. Like I'm interested on the daily chart that this is supporting down here. I have a few key levels here. So overall, though, I'm looking for zones where I'm interested in. And one of my favorite setups, and I divide up different zones of like price between different accounts to make sure I don't overtrade in one area. So I'll like within initial
That's interesting.
balance. So this is just what I'm doing right now, and this has changed a lot depending on how many accounts I have. So when I just had my Top Step accounts, I'm trading in my Top Step, for example, previous day's value area levels. So right here, I have my previous day levels, which we're below right now.
Yep.
So for example, below these, if we're holding below it, I might be looking for a short below previous day low right here. And as we hold below it, essentially I'm looking for shorts below it. Also, though, on some accounts, I'm looking more at market structure. So we're not in the previous day area. I love to trade like value area low to value area high, low of day to high of day of the previous session. And so pretty much I'm looking for my setup. So this is like my overall plan, which areas am I looking to trade from? And then I have my setup that actually allows me to enter trades. And so right now I'm running two strategies, one that's newer to me, which is initial balance. So I have initial balance right here. This is London IB. So a 5-minute close, candle body, open and close below allows me to enter. So I could have shorted this right here, but it was too choppy right here, so I didn't short it. I woke up at 6. I didn't take this short. It would have been good. I had my setup. I was allowed to take this. I could have taken it, journaled it, and if I lost it, I lost it. If I win it, I win it. All I need is a candle to close outside and open outside of the IB, for example. And then with my main setup that I'm trading, like on my top one futures and on my most of my other funded accounts, is I'm using an indicator, which is embarrassing. I don't use indicators with my crypto. It never worked for me. But because I was going on so much tilt and having a hard time, I decided to start using something that I just was familiar with. So I'm actually using a very simple entry model. So I need a simple RSI divergence on the 2-minute. So I'll go back to my 2-minute chart here. So now that I have some levels, I might be looking for a long if we break back into yesterday's range. I love that idea right there. So simple. Break back into
Nice.
yesterday's range, take the long. And what I would need here is for us to obviously break above this level and then create an entry setup right here, which would most likely look like something like this. And it would be an RSI divergence right here. A divergence between the price and the RSI would allow my entry setup. I have a very systematic approach when it comes to my entry. I use the lower of the two candles I draw my divergence from. I call them, I have a name for them, an origin div and or an origin candle and the div candle. And then the next one opens. If it goes in my direction, I take it. However, I'm looking for confirmation. I'm reading order flow. I have bookmap here. I have I have a tape that I use that I filter out aggressive orders. And so I want confirmation. Ideally, I have a confirmation candle, like a candle closing with a big wick that makes a div, but then it's going in my direction, like a big green candle with a big tail on it,
Yep.
that might be a good entry. And then I put my stop loss below the lower of the two candles. And I actually put it 2 ticks below. I don't like it to be more than 30 points. 5 to 30 points is where I have the best win rate from looking at all my trades. And then I kind of have a model right now that's keeping me from being too tilty. I don't think it's the best, but it works for me. I take off a little bit more than half at 1R. So I might take off, say I had 10 micros on, I'll take off 6 at 1R. So I lock in a slight win like that. And then I might take off another 3 or 2 at 2R. And then I hold a few for a runner.
Nice.
And that's how I do it.
Detailed, very detailed, man. Thank you for breaking it down. Simple stuff, right? I like it. I'm not the RSI divergence guy, but I think you find what works for you and just run with it.
It's to stop me from overtrading. It's, to be honest, I could have any entry thing. I could say an inside bar or a 3-bar reversal. To me, it's because of my emotions, and I'm a very emotional person. This helps me be patient because it takes it a while to set up.
Yep. Yep, and that's important, right? You have to find, like, in theory, things can work really well, but you've got to find something that works for you and get more and more mechanical, more and more systematic if you find yourself all over the map, not applying consistency. So like you said, like maybe this isn't the best, like in theory, if I was a machine and I could accurately execute with this discretion without going on tilt, but here's the way that I've refined it. And like you said, keeps me from getting too tilty, half off at 1R, a very systematic way to take profits. Do you go stop loss to break even at 1R?
I've experimented with it and I track it. So it's funny that you said stop loss at break even at 1R. So I actually test it. So I have right here, and I can actually, I can find these setups all day. So I can actually walk through it on a combine or something. Like I have a stack of XFAs passed on Top Step. So my combines, I don't really care about on here that much. So I can literally like look for the next div and take it without confluence if we want it to, and walk through a trade. And I have no problem doing that. Like right here, I had one. So this would allow me to enter a trade. And so in this situation, I have my RSI divergence between a decent candle. Like that's kind of making a change in direction. I could go into it. I like a clean div. I want the candle formations to be at nice peaks. So right here also, I have this like takeout candle, small body, indecision. That's not the worst candle to enter on, in my opinion. It's coming down. It showed indecision. So here I would have entered when this candle turns green. Stop loss right here, which is too wide, more than 30 points. I don't like it. I would need to have a really key level here to take that. Since I don't have a key level, I wouldn't take that. Or a really strong trend. Like if we're just mooning, I'm looking for the next way to get in, I'll look for the next bull div and take it. So here we go. We're hitting that 1R in that setup. So I'd be out half there, and then I'd be looking for my 2R. So I could actually, I'm happy to take one if you want it.
No, I mean, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything crazy. This is great. We went super deep into it, man. So it's so
awesome. Here's this last setup.
Yeah.
So we can see the lower of the two candles right there, and look, we got my 2R. So, but what I was going to show too is that like I log these. So you asked, do I go break even at 1R? Well, right here, I have this section here, break even at 1R. Even if I don't do it, I try to remember to log what would have happened. Was it minus EV equal expected value or plus expected value? So now when I have when I have that hard day or the market's not good or whatever, I want to get on my channel and be like, today we're looking back at my trades and seeing how we can improve. I will take all my losers, all my winners, and see if there's I'll run some optimization formulas and see what optimized my trading. If I moved my stop loss to break even at 1R, what happened? If I moved it at 2R, what happened? And then as a constant, I also compare it to 5 points and 10 points because R&R obviously is changing with where my stop loss is.
Yep. It's solid, man. And it's
and
really
that's
the
how
way
I
to
got
sit
to my
in,
strategy. I did that.
Yeah.
I didn't sleep for like a month. I took every single div on the 1 minute, 5 minute, and 15 minute. I logged everything one. I had my laptop in my bed. I took it all day, all night. And then I went from there.
Nice. Awesome, man. For chat, for you guys that don't know, I know we got a lot of people hopping on late. This is Luna Trade's special guest today, talking about his strategy in detail, going through some cool stuff like what I talk about often, just collecting some data, going back through and reviewing, especially when it comes to trade management. We were talking about that a lot yesterday. But yeah, guys, smash like, smash subscribe. Feel free to ask questions in the chat. I didn't get a chance to say good morning to anybody. Good morning, everybody that's on here. Welcome back to the show. Somebody lost their account today. I am sorry to hear it. They helped me out. From me is going to be, you're in my thoughts and prayers, my friends. No, listen, it's a tough deal. It's part of the game, unfortunately. We don't want to lose accounts if it's not part of our risk management approach, right? Like if we're not aggressive enough. You went on tilt, you did something wild. I would say shake it off. Take a step back, review, and kind of come back strong. Good morning, guys. What's going on? But yeah, no, this is awesome. Again, for me on the chart right now, guys, I'm not really looking at anything as we're sitting right here below VWAP. We had a retest, pull back up, and now we're back down around the lows. We might start to break down on ES. It looks like we want to go trade out like the 780s. This is pretty big price action for my taste and somewhat in the middle. I did get involved here on a similar trade, very similar from the middle of like VWAP area. It's not really my forte. I like to trade from the extremes when I'm getting more aggressive on ES, at least from like recent extremes. But this does look like we're showing some weakness off of VWAP here. Interesting though, really interesting price action. I think we also have a 10 a.m. news event, just to throw that in the mix. Yeah, we got 10 a.m. new home sales. So
exactly.
Yep. Yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna be watching this, see if we can't get something. I try to take it easy on Fridays, not just like arbitrarily not trading or not putting risk on, but it just seems like the tough day that everybody wants to push it. And if there's a day where risk management seems to slip, it seems to be Friday. And going into the weekend after a huge red tilt day is just never a fun thing to do, especially a holiday weekend.
Facts.
No. Yeah,
it's the worst.
Done it way too many times, man. So.
I'm in the same boat with Fridays, man. I've mixed results, and with crypto, like I always learned with crypto to not enter positions on a Friday. Like I always wait. Like a lot of times, I'll actually set my positions on Sunday night with limit orders, and it's something that I've taken over into futures too, and just seen it so many times. And as I get more disciplined, like waiting for my setups, it doesn't matter quite as much, because like I either get my confluences and setups or not. And so I try to just trade the trade now, but Fridays I do like to lock it up early too if I can. But lately I've been trading a lot bell to bell and sticking around most of the day.
Yeah, I usually run it in the morning. I run my live in the morning. I like to pay attention on the charts right now, 9:30 to about 11:30. After that, I'll set some alerts on TradingView, and if I see something really clean that's setting up into the afternoon, I'll look to take it just throughout the day. But I do think there's a time limit on how long I can really focus and stay patient before I'm one of a couple things. I'm just burnt out and tired because I've traded already, and now we're just kind of taking sideways trades or whatever it is. Or I sat patient, my setup is not there, and I just continue to sit. And as that time goes, I get more and more of that like demon inside that creeps in. Like, all right, come on, it's Wednesday. You didn't take trades yesterday. Take the trade. You got to put risk on. Got to make some progress. And oftentimes if I do that, I'll end up taking trades, kind of just chewing up risk, and then I see the nice setup into the afternoon. So for me, couple hours in the morning on the high end, and usually I like to just get it done there. But I have been looking into the afternoon, some alerts on TradingView, off levels type of a deal. Something sets up really clean, I'll look for it, But then I'm off the phone sometimes. I'm traveling. That gets a little bit dicey also. I'm not a great phone trader for sure.
Yep. Man, my best months, if I look back at my very best months, I'll just bring them up here because I'm right now too. I'm in a no trade zone, and I traded a little bit on a combine earlier, like I said, but just catching that drop with the momentum. But my best results have been when I take one trade in the day, one trade a day, and I lock it up quick. So it's like normally in the first hour or two of the morning, I get my one trade and I'm done, and I'll pull it in right here. Let's see. We can see those months when I was doing that because I was actually picking up some extra work these months and I didn't have that much time. Oh wait, I'm on the
The
combine here.
one
Let's
trade
get
a
it.
day is powerful, man. Especially if it's a winner and you just leave it be. You know, even if it's not the right size, you're just like off to the next day, and you string
Okay, here
together
we
some
go. We got
serious
my
money.
trade. So this is one of my combines, and at this point, I was copy trading. Well, I started not copy trading. I was risking
Yep.
around 200 a day. I took two trades this day, and that's when I realized I was like, I'm not going to take two trades a day. I can't handle $450 risk right now.
Hmm.
And so I started copy trading all my accounts, and I said one trade a day. And then right away, I had one of my best months. September, I only had two losing days. And this was just
Nice.
doing
Yeah,
my
that's a
RSI
banger
div, which is
month.
embarrassing. Like I almost don't even want to tell people I trade using RSI, especially coming from a price action crypto trader. It's embarrassing, but whatever works. And these days, I was locking it up. Like you said, do you move your stop loss to break even at 1 hour? I was actually locking these up really quick. You can see some days $30, but
Hmm.
this was copied to four accounts at the time, so that's 3,700
Yeah.
bucks. And then I
Yeah.
started copy trading to five accounts. It's funny. November, I stopped using my previous day levels, and I was trying to also go with ranges that I was drawing, and I lost my results. And then I went back and look, I went back
Wow.
to trading just the
Wow.
previous day levels, which means some days I don't get setups.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
now the way I'm doing it, I'm pretty much getting setups every day, and because I'm using other accounts for other ranges. Like I said, initial balance breakouts, I have a set of accounts for them, and then my
Yeah.
Apex PAs, if it's trending or whatever, I'll take them without the previous day level. So, but yeah, this was an example of when I was locked in and just trading for a few hours a day, and at the end of the day, I locked in wins these days, even if it's only $30 times five accounts. Though that is not
Yeah.
bad for me. I'll take
No.
that,
A-
and
Absolutely.
compared to taking more trades, we can see. Well, so I'm trading on more accounts here. So more days where I didn't trade on these accounts. I'm also focused in other accounts at this point. And we have March. You can see I didn't trade these accounts nearly as much. So now here's April.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
now I'm
No, it's
spread out.
awesome.
Like I'm focusing in my top one futures in May, and I have all these other accounts. So,
Awesome, man. No, it's
but
it's
yeah,
it's cool to hear. It's nice. I know a lot of guys do well spreading risk that way with a lot of different groups of accounts, trading different strategies, different approaches, or just kind of continually looking for things, but really spreading risk. And you end up sometimes burning some, doing better on some, but it's not all in one basket, which is interesting. But cool results, man. Really, really cool to see. I see we got some people in the chat from seems like from your stream. Luna Raid is here for Luna. What's up, guys? I appreciate you hopping on. Everybody from my channel, again, this is Luna Trades. Feel free, smash subscribe to his channel. I'll throw it in the. You can throw it in the chat again, Luna, if you can. This way, I
oh, for
don't
my
mess it
channel,
up.
yep,
But
I got you.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
And yeah,
Yeah,
where do people find you on the rest of the socials? You're on Instagram, X as the same name.
yep. It's Luna underscore trades underscore for X, and I can drop some. Oh, I don't think
Yeah,
it will let
drop.
me drop links in the chat. I don't think it lets you do that,
I got you.
right?
Luna Trades, guys. I'll throw them in the Discord
You'll find it.
afterwards.
And then I also have a
Yeah,
separate YouTube channel where I just trade crypto for any crypto traders out there. Luna
yeah.
trades crypto, and I do that with a personal account, all live. Every trade I've taken to that personal account is live,
Nice,
taken
nice.
on my stream. So yeah, but then I have Instagram too and everything. We can see here. So this was one of those divs. I didn't have key levels or anything. So like this is a situation where if I did really want to take it,
Mm-hmm.
I would take it. What is something's playing in my background? I gotta find what's happening. I try to open YouTube. So this is a situation where I didn't have confluences, so I didn't take it. But say I was like, okay, I think that's the bottom. That was the bad news, and we're just gonna bounce back up.
Mm-hmm.
It was an
Mm-hmm.
overreaction to a tweet. So say I want to get long, I had my entry set up here that I had showed that takeout candle. So really,
Mm-hmm.
I could have filled it on any of these candles, and that would have been 1 hour right there. So that would get me to break even plus a tiny bit, and then I'd be holding this. So
Nice.
I might actually, if we get another setup and we keep going up here, I might hop in one of these, even if it's just in the combine, just so I can run through my strategy with you guys. And also, that's just how I trade. I
Yeah.
have accounts that are, if I have an account that's down, sometimes I'll take the riskier trades on it. And then once I have an account good in the profit, I'm really waiting for my A plus setups for those accounts that are closer to
Nice.
payouts.
Nice. No, it's a cool way to spread risk that way. It really is. I'm just kind of eyeballing this on the way up. I could potentially see, yeah, man, this is just some gnarly price action. I could potentially see a short play off like the 810s in ES just above this 15-minute opening range that we set. Coming into 10 a.m. right here. Yeah, so we're getting past this new home sales. Not a whole lot of reaction out of that. I could see a really aggressive play for me, which would be short back down to VWAP, filling quite a bit of liquidity up at the 810s. There is some more above it, but this is dicey. Sitting here
Yeah.
around VWAP, it looks like we could recover. I'm cautious that we could really just start to turn back down at any point and just have that really gnarly sell-off type day. But I'm interested to see what we get up here around VWAP again. I think my first trade might be looking short around these 810s to 812s, let's say in ES. I want to see how we react up there, and maybe just for a quick scalp style move back down towards VWAP, down to this area of high volume. But this is pretty volatile. This is pretty volatile here.
I'm going to put on ES here. I used to watch ES with what is it, ES1?
Yeah.
I used to. Why isn't that coming up?
So we like Nasdaq. We ended up on Nasdaq somehow.
So okay, here's ES. So I used to watch ES2, and lately I'm like, okay, you know what? I don't want to get distracted. I'm not knowledgeable enough to be comparing the multiple assets. I decided to just stick with watching NQ. And however, there's some really good traders who are trying to get me to make the switch to ES, thinking that I do a little better with it.
It's a preference thing. I think it's a preference thing, right? Like everybody's gonna have their own preference. They're gonna like the way one instrument moves over the other. I'd say like the comparison is ES is like watching paint dry compared to NQ. It's slower moving. I find it to be really clean, respecting levels. I've watched order flow on it now for a long time. But I'm in the same boat as you, not in the same as the last guest that I had on earlier this week, where we had Tanner, the strong trader, on, where he pulled up his like platform of like 8 or different charts, right? All the different things, watching SPY, QQQ, NQ, ES, YM. I'm like you, right? Where I just like to hyper focus on like one chart, one instrument day in and day out. I just don't do well. Oh, here we're getting a little bit of a crack up. I'm going to watch this one for a quick short. Let me see if I can share my screen back.
Yeah, you want to switch over? Yeah.
There we go.
I've been watching your streams. I made a point to go do some research here, and I watched back like your last few weeks of streams.
Sure.
And really appreciate the way I've seen you trading and the patience that you have and waiting for your trade location and entry. I had Lawrence on, and that was something that he was talking a lot about, was getting that good entry. And it's stuck with me. I'm like, I gotta wait for my good entry. You know, it's like I want to make each trade count. And so like even a loss, that could mean journaling a loss and really dissecting what the trade was about. But the main thing I realized is like, if I'm going to make each trade count, it means waiting for the right entry, because then at that point I can really let my trades play out and I don't get all like wishy-washy.
Yeah. No, I think it's tough because I've had a lot recently. If you watch some of them, I had a lot that get close, like a lot that have gotten really close. A couple this week and late last week that made it within like a point and a half, you know, 3 ticks, but we just didn't get my level hit. And I'm a big believer, like, am I entering at the level, or am I going to always FOMO in before whatever I'm actually waiting for happens? More often than not, I don't miss it. I FOMO in, and then it goes and does what I expect it to do, and then I've got a worse entry, FOMO'd in, I'm pissed off about it. So yeah, I'm patient for sure. It's you know, I'm definitely not perfect. It's definitely a challenge to stay patient, especially when you get stuff that gets close, doesn't fill, you know, or just doesn't do what you need it to do. You watch the move play out. It can be tough. So I'm watching this come up. This is a dicey one. I am looking at diving in front of this move to the upside, short, which could be tough. I'm going to watch what happens up around the 810s in ES, but we do have liquidity sitting.
Do you see those orders at 810?
Yeah.
There's about 400 orders up there almost.
Yeah. We got like 177 and then 198. Looks like 809 and 810 if I zoom in a little bit. It's not terribly thick above, but there is some past that, like a couple with 50 on it. But I like this for like if we are going to move higher, and this is kind of just my like, you know, little bit speculation, a little bit of like just discernment of price action and market structure. I think if we're going to move higher, we're going to pull that super frustrating, pissed off like US indice move where we sell off one more time, fake everybody out, sweep these session lows or not session lows, but sweep down, session lows. Wait a minute. Where's 930 open? That would technically be session low, the 5780. But come back down to this area of high volume again before we blast off. So I think even if I have the direction of the day wrong, if I can get a solid entry up here, gives me a clean way to structure risk. Prior day low being right here is kind of dicey. I think if we don't get a reaction off of the 10 to 12s, I mean, we might just get a reaction right here, right? Because we swept above this 937, 938 high. And I might be missing, having to sit here and wait and watch one move without me. But if we don't get a reaction off of these 810s, 812s, I think we're quickly going to head towards 830s to 840s. That would be second area. I'd be looking for, a potential reaction, but obviously wouldn't run a stop way up there. So, kind of a reversion style trade, really focusing on liquidity on this one. I don't know how much opportunity I have outside of something like that. We start to sell off super aggressively. I don't really have a continuation move to the downside unless we get some structure that forms. Ooh, it might just be the sweep above these little highs right here. Go and tap the 807s and then come back down. Yeah, if we pull one of these moves as well, this is kind of going to be invalidated for me, right? If we pull all the way back down here, again, that's my movement, and we come back up, I'm not looking to take it short. Yeah, we're not going to touch those just yet. So let's see what we get.
I love drawing out my plan like that. And I always say it's like this isn't a prediction, but I love doodling on the chart because it reminds me to be patient. It reminds me that it takes that time for it to set up, Like it's going to take time for it to get to the areas that we want to trade from. And so when I draw out like my plan for the day, like with the doodly lines, I feel like so much more patient, and it allows me to really wait because it reminds me that like a lot can happen between the next 30 minutes or next hour, and we'll get those entries. And if we don't get it, we'll get it the next day, So that's something I'm really working on, being patient for my key levels and for my areas where I actually want to trade from. Like, just like you're saying with yesterday's high right above you on ES, like that's why I didn't want to take this last long. I had it on here and we're making higher lows, but so we're kind of starting to trend back up on my time frame chart, but we're still right below yesterday's low. So it's like using my key levels, it's like kind of like more where I'm starting to prepare for the short, if we can't close above yesterday's low and we reject it, then I'd actually be looking for the short. So I have those mixed confluences, and it's close enough where I didn't want to take that last trade, even though that last trade, it already went 2R, it would have been a great trade, but there's no way I was going to take it right below yesterday's low.
Yeah.
Maybe in a combine or something, but
yeah, no, for sure. I try to looking back when I review trades, I always think, was this a good trade to take an L on, right? Like, so if I wait for my setup to come, am I going to be happy if I take like back-to-back losses? And if the answer is yes, and I can end my Friday down, but happy and glad I did what I was supposed to do, market just did not agree with me at all, or for whatever reason, took those L's that day, I'm cool with that. If I FOMO into stuff, if I don't wait, if I get involved where I'm really not supposed to, and I kind of just want to put a trade on, whatever it is, I end up asking myself, like, all right, not a good loss. You shouldn't have done that. You're not happy about that. So that's a good one on the front end, I think, to remember. Like, would I be cool taking the L on this one? Like putting the risk on. It's the price I have to pay to figure out if this is going to work or not. That's my price of doing business in the market. So am I okay paying that on this trade? If the answer is no, and you really wouldn't be happy if you took the L, not happy, but you wouldn't be okay with it, content with it, then usually it's wait for something else to happen to give you that, whatever it is, A+ setup, confluence, whatever you use to trade. But yeah, man, this is the move playing out, I think, here for me in ES. We cracked just back up above VWAP. We're selling back off. Close, man. That traded to, let me show my screen again. Yeah. This traded right up towards the 807 and 3/4. I was looking for the 810s. There's still quite a bit of liquidity right here on the book above this. Not completely invalidated. We come back down like through the 90s, the 790s. I'm not going to like this as much. I'd like the first test, right? Kind of how we get to that zone plays a role, but I'd like the first test of that, not making really clean, higher lows and higher highs into it. But we'll see. We'll see what we get here. If we get one more crack up above, it's not as clean, but I think I would still give this a shot. I don't know that I would dive directly in at the 810s, but it definitely would be aggressive on the push up. Downside of these types of trades is you can get your face ripped off very quickly, right? Like if I'm wrong, usually I'm wrong very quickly. We're going to head through prior day low. It's going to be a really impulsive candle. If you're right, they play out really nicely to the downside or upside if I'm trading long, and give me a really nice entry. But I like to acknowledge the, trading counter to the initial movement or whatever's happening right now, right? Entering short on a bullish bar. But I don't mind it out of real clean areas of liquidity. Okay, here we go.
Yeah, we cleared out some of those orders up there.
Yeah, so they pulled some. We pulled some at the 809s. Here we go, right into the trade 809, right into the 810s to clear some of that. This is pretty aggressive. I'm waiting on this one. I'm watching these sell orders flip to buys at the 810s. We could see a really, really nice rejection here, but now we have some at the 820s and 825s. Let's see. I think I'm going to have to hang tight on this one just to see if we push up a little bit higher. But here is my level, the 811s.
I'm getting a potential setup here too.
Nice.
It's kind of, it's against the trend though. Same thing. It's a short. So I would want a good confirmation for it.
I'm jumping in short on this one. Is my screen still showing? Yeah, I'm jumping in short on this one. I'm going to go light risk on this just because it's really aggressively counter. $500, one mini, not the 1,000 right off the rip. But nice. We're getting somewhat of a rejection here. That's just a little bit heavy for me to dive right in front of. But let's see if we get to move back down towards VWAP. And we can look to trail this bad boy. I'm not going to go stop to break even too damn quick. But I'm short one from 509.25, stop at 58.19.25. We do have liquidity through the 15s, through the 20s. If I have to take that first L, I don't mind taking it on a half risk trade. But we start to come lower. I'm going to aggressively trail this into profit. Don't know that I would hold all the way down to a fixed take profit. That's just kind of like a personal daily profit target type deal in case something just rips in my direction. But yeah, this is an interesting spot. See, now a lot of sell orders back on the book at the 58.10s. We got orders down to 5,800 right here. So let's see if I can grab a quick scalp out of this bad boy. Yeah, right down around VWAP. I'm going to be dragging this bad boy. Yeah, we got a lot on the book happening here. This could get dicey. This could get very volatile here. Let's see.
Yeah, we have the key level too with just like a meme number, a round number, 21,000 on NQ that we weren't able to reach on this push. So to me, that could be a sign that maybe we get a little retrace here.
Yeah, but again, on this one, for me, waited for my level to get hit. Not as clean as if we just cracked VWAP and went up and grabbed it. Gave it a little bit of room to start to reject here and entered a little bit after that crazy wick to the upside. Half risk type of trade for me where, I can take a handful of these and still be okay with the amount that I'm putting on in these top one futures accounts. So I'm comfortable taking the L, right? Like that's the question you got to ask yourself. Are we okay taking a red trade? Are we okay taking, whatever that stop loss is? Because if you accept it on the front end and say, not that I'm marking it as a red trade, I want it to be red, but I fully accept that one, you can just manage it, right? You can manage it kind of objectively. You don't do anything crazy. You don't take profit too early, close it out for a loss. So I try to think through that stuff to the best.
I was watching how you manage your positions in the last few weeks. I was watching back at your streams, and how discretionary are you when it comes to moving your stop into profit?
So I've been very discretionary, Luna, very discretionary. And I'm actually, as a whole, trading wise, but mainly trade management wise, I'm looking to get more systematic. Like you, I do track how often, a stop at break even tags me out and then continues in my direction versus it goes all the way to stop loss. Things like that. But I'm taking a lot from one of the other gentlemen at the Tampa show that we got to hang out at, Isaac, who I'm going to talk more about, with this trade management style on ES, where it's very aggressive trailing into profit. I'm just a discretionary trader at heart. It's where I found a lot of progress in my own trading, and I really like to use my intuition, use my discretion, but it starts to beg the question, how much? So right now, I'm going to be systematic with this. If we go and trade through VWAP, I'm dragging about 5 points, $250 into profit. I think we could see a strong rejection here right off of VWAP and crack back up above these highs, even if we come lower. So I'm okay making this a small win, right? But I
I'm
want to
short
see.
as well
There we
too.
go.
Just to
Nice.
give the heads up, I'm short, but I didn't have my stop loss was too wide for
Order
what
filled.
increases
All right,
my
so
win rate.
I'm
So
tagged.
I
I'm
went
tagged right
ahead
there.
and did it in
Go
a
ahead.
combine, and you're out. Boom.
I'm out. Yeah, I'm tagged right there. So I went. Here's my thought process on this one, and this is straight out of. I like to give credit where it's due. This is straight out of one of the top traders that I know's playbook. It's an aggressive trailing into profit. Now, there's going to be plenty of trades where this just continues to rip my direction, but there's a lot that come back to break even or worse, especially if I'm really aggressive, right? So I try to take into consideration I'm entering on really bullish structure here, right? And I'm also entering on a crack to the upside. So I think if you're going to be more aggressive with an entry, or at least thinking it this way, being aggressive with a trade management style could be a good fit, because the thesis is like, this is going to reject right here, right now, right? It's going to turn. If it doesn't turn, I'm dead wrong. With the continuation and kind of, if you go back through my trading and look at me on the 15-minute chart, because I've traded for a while on YouTube and you can kind of see different progression. Stop loss to break even, not helping me, right? Like, not touching a wide stop loss was my play, and it would work out really well. I'd sit through trades for hours. For this style, getting really aggressive is, I think, a good move. For me, where I need to improve, and I know, is I need to get more systematic with it. I do well being discretionary, but these are so fast moving and it's so zoomed in that I've got to find something that works well in general. And right now, I'm taking it right out of the playbook of Isaac, who is a top trader and someone that I'm
he's
going
a
to be talking
crusher.
more about.
Hey, you want to switch over to my screen?
Absolutely.
We're getting a little movement here. So the only reason I didn't take this in the combine, because I actually started to like it more, or that I didn't take it to fund it, was because the stop loss. I know statistically, I like my stop loss to be around 30 points. I'll cheat it a little bit, 35 points, whatever. This time it was like 45 points. And then I wanted to kind of give it a little room with this round number. I'd rather it be right above the 21,000. So I just took it in this combine. If I hit this trade, though, it passes the account. So that's, or no, sorry, max win for the day. Not
there
pass.
We go. We
max
got
win.
Luna in a short on NQ.
So
up 300. Yeah,
and I actually liked it. This next candle here, I was actually like, man, I'll enter this in my funded account. But I'm like, you know what? I'm going to follow my rules. I'm already taking some risk in this. If I pass it, then great. I pass another combine. That'll be a fourth one stacked on the side and chilling. So I'm just going to let it play out now. And I do sometimes take my profit a little discretionarily, or like with past levels, like this candle that broke out here, maybe I'd take one off right there and kind of start to hedge off. And
nice.
And actually my stop loss is supposed to be a little tighter following my strategy. So I'm at my 1R now. So I took off more than half. There we go. And now what I'll do in this situation, I could move my stop down, but since my stop is, in this situation, I'm going to be patient. I would consider just locking this in right here. I already took $300, so I'd maybe do something like this or like that, at least a little bit. In this situation, I don't really care if it comes back up here. I don't like it, so I'll move it down like this and lock in my $300. I'm holding 3 more lots right now, so I'd be looking for 2R, which I'm just going to match it with some candles here and go ahead and take off another one at 2R. I normally would have taken 2 off at 2R. I took 1 extra. Oh, never mind. No, I'll take 2 and hold 1 runner.
Nice.
But in this situation, I can only make 1,500 on the day. So this is a round where I'm just going to lock it up here and it should close me out automatically. I have it set with the, personal daily profit target, which is awesome with Top One futures and with other Project X platforms that you can do that.
Yeah, love
so
the
the lockout features and stuff is what makes Project X to me. Well, I like TradingView charts too, but you can copy. I don't know if everyone knows this, but you can go to TradingView like this and copy from TradingView over to any Project X platform.
Ooh, give us the sauce, Luna. We got some new info. I love it. So how do we do that?
I'm almost at my. Well, here we can do it right now. So
manage your trade first, because you got to trade on.
I don't want to. I don't want to over manage it.
I'm 1 win trailed out for 250 across 3 accounts. Luna's in a combine here. Is the top step 50K? About to hit max profit. Yeah, dude, this is solid. But yeah, like when you and that was a great description, man. Really interesting, right? One thing that we had in Tampa, and for you guys that don't know, we did a live live event in Tampa, 2-day boot camp type of deal. It was Austin Silver's show. Luna was there as well. But what we had going on was live trading. And on the first day, it was really interesting because everyone managed. Okay, so we're going to trail down into profit. Nice.
And I don't,
Go ahead.
it's like, it's because of the conditions. Like what you said, the fact that we're in this uptrend, that's the only reason I trailed that. And that's me being discretionary. And when I go back and look at my stats, a lot of times I regret, I'm like, I got to let my trades play out. And I know that statistically because like my favorite way to trail a runner like that would be with market structure. This isn't the best example here, but this will work. So the way I like to trail is we have consolidation and a breakdown, then I trail my stop, you know, and then we have consolidation and a breakdown. I did not draw it very good, but then until we got this breakdown here, I wouldn't trail my stop until there. This is a really bad doodle, but pretty much I'm waiting. I want to do it one more time because this is my favorite way to trail. If I want to maximize a runner, here, this is better. If I want to maximize my runner, I don't trail with the candles. I trail with market structure. So I wait for that breakout of a consolidation because what happens was if it starts to consolidate and I move my stop right above that consolidation, then I swear I might as well just take profit. I might as well take profit at the bottom of the consolidation because I'm pretty much accepting that this is going to get tagged. But once we break out, then I kind of have that breakout play and it's kind of like a whole other trade, and having the stop at the other side of the consolidation has worked a lot better for getting big wins. So if I do think we're moving in a trend and I'm in sync with the trend, then I will trail with consolidation and breakout. Otherwise, I'll do like what I just did and trail with the 2 minute. And after seeing you taking your profit quicks, like I was watching, I think it was yesterday, you had like 3 or 4 trades locking in like 20 or barely hitting that break even, maybe locking in a little bit, but then you hit your win for the day. And I think you're up like $1,500 or something across 3 accounts, 500 times 3.
It's been tough, honestly. And again, I think the challenge that we face, I love talking about trade management. I really do, because the strategy, the approach thing, everybody hones in so much on. But great trade, by the way. Really awesome. Thanks for breaking it down. Great explanation. Great way of articulating kind of exactly
what you're looking at. Trader in the chat. Sorry to button.
No, go ahead.
Look at the beginning of the stream. I think Zach went over that. But okay, so you're saying you love risk management.
I'll read the chat. Yeah, I'll read the chat quick. What's up, man? I did a nice conversation on the Top 1 Futures rule change. You could hop in my Discord as well. You could hop in their Discord to take a look at the announcement from their CEO. But I specifically took a little bit of time looking at the rules, giving you my 2 cents, my thoughts at the beginning, so we wouldn't have to go back through it too much. Ruben, what's up? Richard, what's going up? What's going on?
Slight change of the profit target, so it's a nothing burger to me. All prop firms are always going to be changing their rules, and I know you already talked about it, so I'm not going to get into it.
No, all good. But so we're talking risk management, man. I think what I've resigned myself to, well, just like here's the backstory, because I can't get all the way to the end if I don't yap about it for a second. I started very mechanical, very systematic, and I was on this hunt to find the combination of indicators where I could just not do anything, essentially code it into a bot or EA type move. And that was never going to work for a number of reasons. And so when I got really discretionary with it, working with a guy who was very discretionary, I started to make a lot of progress. I got a lot of consistency. As I've come to the futures market and gotten more zoomed in, more risk, faster playing out movements, because I traditionally came from swing trading, I guess you'd call it, or day trading, the Forex market. It's faster. It's a lot of movement. It's very volatile. And I'm starting to question whether applying as much discretion, specifically in trade management, is helping me or hurting me. And I think in the long run, you can find a good middle ground, right? Because we're not going to be right every day, right? But if you find something that works over the next large sample size of trades, best for the P&L, you're probably going to be really close, if not beating, if you were discretionary every day. And it just takes an added layer of variance out of it. So I don't like acting like a machine. I like to do things that make sense to me. When I have real clear indication, I like to use my experience on the charts, right? And just kind of and have that input. But I do find that, for example, like stop loss to break even. I can't remember if it was yesterday or the day before. I got stopped to break even like multiple times, back to back to back, and they continued my direction. And it was really filed under coming into today. Yesterday I think was the day, but coming into today and doing a lot of review was continuing to get filed under, specifically on ES for me, for my entries, because it's gonna be different for everybody. Arbitrary stop loss to break even, not helping me, hurting me more than it helps me. It's not that I won't save some full stop outs, but slightly more often than not, I will be stopped to break even and then a continuation in my direction. But what I believe is probably going to be the happy medium is to trail aggressively into profit once I get past that like half an R, because the thought process is very aggressive entry. If I'm dead wrong, I'm hitting stop loss, right? If I start to dance around the entry, I got to give it a little bit of room to breathe and then continue. But if we start to move aggressively in the direction of my trade, the thesis is that it's going to continue or it's going to come back on me. And locking up profit that way makes for higher win rate, smaller R multiple. But you get to get involved, keep risk controlled, and kind of find a happy medium there. So again, it's a long-winded question, but I'm getting more systematic, less discretionary, more mechanical with specifically trade management. I think I'm always going to apply a fair amount of discretion to entries, to the trading itself, to my interpretation of
but
price
not
action,
to risk management, right? Risk management, you're probably strict. How much are you going to risk max per trade? You don't randomly decide to risk your full account, right?
No. You got to be strict on, listen, personal daily loss limit, right? How much are you risking per day? Risk per trade maximum, right? The only discretion I have is to do what I did. 1 or 2 minis on this account with a 10-point stop. That's going to be it. And even that's questionable whether or not I should be doing that, or I should just be full risk every time. But do not be, if you're going to be very strict and systematic in one spot, risk management for sure. Clear risk management plan, and it's individual to everybody. Risk per trade, risk per day, personal daily loss limit, personal daily profit target. If you're running an account with a consistency rule, all of that stuff is a non-negotiable, right? Because if you don't set that, then you're accepting that the entire account is the risk per day, right? So, and if you're struggling by any means, risk parameters, personal daily loss limit, utilizing that stuff on X is the Project X is the way to go for sure.
Yep. I love something you said earlier. I just popped back in my head, but I forget how you worded it, but I've had this rule for years now. If I'm quick to enter a trade, be quick to exit. And it was something you said with your trade, because you grabbed it so quick, you got out of it pretty quick in the way it was moving. And so I've had an overall rule because it helps me when I get in this situation where I enter a trade really quick. I'm like, oh God, the market's moving. I'm going to jump in. But then I end up holding it. And it's like, wait, the thing I was seeing happened in a fraction of a second. So I should also get out in a fraction of a second, and if I plan to trade out, like, see these trades right here, I've planned out. Okay, if we come back down here and we bottom out a couple times and I get my setup, I like that. Okay, we're making a higher low. Or if we kind of reject around yesterday's low, or we break up yesterday's low and I get this, I like these setups. So when the time happens, which these are not predictions, it's just to help slow me down, but sometimes this happens exactly right. Should I be quick to get out of that trade? Heck no.
No.
I'm going to hold. I'm going to hold for my profit target. But if I jump in a short real quick, market's going up, I kind of like the short, like this one, I trailed my stop and I got out. And, now the market's coming back. I'm glad I did it. It could have easily kept going down too. But so that's kind of the types of things I'm trying to apply my discretion in a good way. When all the other things, right, we're trying to optimize. Just to reinforce what you just said, we're essentially running optimization formulas if we know it or not. We're thinking about it. And even if it's just our recollection, like, wow, have I been getting burnt when I move my stop loss to break even? How many times do I watch it go in my direction before I just let my trades play out, or vice versa? I let my trades play out and I give back. I was up $500 and then I'm down 500 and I take the L. I'm like, man, I need to start locking it up at 1R, And so we're always trying to find that balance as traders, I think, and it's never ending and all that. There's no magic way, of course, but
no, 100%. It's
experience over time is going to lead us to those answers or solutions, at least for wherever the market's giving us.
100%. It is this constant optimization, right? Trying to find the balance between over optimizing and enough of an adjustment. But yeah, the trade management thing is really tricky. It's difficult because the market's so damn random on the short term, and you really do have to think in a long-term picture. But what we're talking about, I think, is really, really helpful, right? Like, what is the trade thesis? Do you have, is there any trade thesis, like this is just for everybody? Does the market have to do something in a certain type of way, right? Where are you just comfortable going stop loss, take profit, whatever it does in between there, I'm leaving it on, right? And if you are expecting a reaction off of a zone, or if you're expecting it maybe to chop around first and then slow grind in your direction, you can custom tailor what your risk management looks like to fit that, right? Because if you're not expecting an immediate rejection, right? You're trading the 1 minute chart off of an area of high liquidity, like I am specifically on that trade. maybe it doesn't make sense to trail into profit. You say, hey, this is going to dance around VWAP. I think there's going to be a lot of transactions here, but I think overall in the next 2 hours, we're going to go back to overnight low. Wide stop loss, right? Wide take profit. Don't touch it. If the thesis is, hey, we're going to go and we're going to go now, or we should go and go now, if I'm correct on this trade, trade management can fit that. So it's a little bit more advanced, I think, to start to think in those terms, but it can be helpful for sure. But at the bottom line, what you showed earlier is what I talk about all the time, and I don't even do it nearly as structured as that. I do the review type deal, but tracking what would happen if you did something different, or what different trade management styles would look like, is super solid, super solid.
Yeah, man, I've been doing it for years. I even have, this is an old book here. I have handwritten journals. Bro,
Yeah.
I even have hand-drawn charts in here. I have so many trades journaled out, and I got notes. I got index cards. Like, been doing it for years.
That's
this
awesome.
way, and clocking my results. And the only thing, like, it's really in alignment with everything you're just saying. And while we're spitting here, like, the only thing that made me money in crypto was that I was risk adverse, thinking about my risks first. And to me, that's the only thing that really matters, because over time we're going to learn our lessons. So it's like there's I forget, I think it was one of the interviews in Market Wizards, and where I forget who it was that said it, but they said that you should always feel like you're underexposed. When you're in a really good trade, you feel like you want to put more on, you want more risk, you want the possibility of making that big pay. But if you feel underexposed, then it means it's good. It means you like your trade and that you're managing a risk. So feeling underexposed and allowing those small wins to add up over time, and meanwhile not blowing out. Like, I've built up my crypto portfolio to 6 figures in quite a long journey, not starting with any money. And then I had it all the way back down because I lived off it. I built a house. I moved out to Costa Rica, whatever. I had it all the way down at one point to like almost like 4 figures. It was like right at about 10 grand. It was 12 grand after I scraped together everything I had in my crypto accounts and wallets and everything. I had 12 grand left. And because I follow that strict risk management, I'm risking like literally under 1% of my portfolio in my personal accounts, like even like 0.1, 0.2% over years. Guess what? I built it back up to that 6 figures again. Multiple
That's
6
awesome.
figures. And that's not to brag. That's just to literally show I couldn't tell you my strategy there besides I buy the effing dip. But I use a stop loss and a take profit, and I use those basic things. And other than that, I'm a discretionary trader when it comes to swing trading. I set some limits. I have certain I have a certain kind of like style, I guess, but I don't have like some rule. I'm not following a plan like I'm doing with my day trading. And having risk management has worked for me. And with prop firms, it's sometimes hard to really put it in perspective on what we're risking and stuff. So I look at my drawdown. And I realized that if I compared it to my personal account, if I'm risking and imagining that, okay, this isn't 150,000. This is, what is this? $6,000 of risk?
6,000, right?
Right.
Soon
So
to be 45.
Yeah, which I keep all that stuff, right? I have that right here, right?
Yep.
Top 1 futures. $6,000 of risk. So, which this stuff is the most important stuff when you're trading a prop firm. You need to know all the rules. You need to know all this. And I'm not trying to rant about. I'm not trying to, whatever. But so. If I'm thinking about my amount of drawdown, not that, oh, look, I'm funded with $2 million. I have 22 funded. I don't actually know what it adds up to. To me, that's bullcrap. What matters is how much risk do we have and how much of that risk are we risking or whatever. How much drawdown do we have available to us? So in this account, it's $5,000 or whatever, right? 5,000?
6,000 in the
$6,000. So with $6,000 risk, like if I was in my personal account, I'd be risking literally 0.1 to 0.2% of that. So I am oversizing so much in my prop firm accounts, and I just want to be honest about that. And so if you're oversizing even more, like on these accounts, I'm risking $700 max per trade. So what is that? $6,000 times 0.01. Oh wait, 0.010. Okay, so 0.1% is like what I risk in my personal account. Maybe 0.2%. That's only $6, guys. That's $12 at 0.2%. That's how I grew an account to 6 figures from nothing. And so if you're not here for the long term and willing to do that, then it's going to be really hard to find consistency, or at least that's my plan for myself. I don't like to talk to other people like that. That's my plan for myself. And I try to bring that perspective from my personal accounts. And at the reality though, that's not what I'm doing. I have all these accounts. So I'm risking more, I'm risking $700 instead of $6.
Yep.
So that's how much leverage I'm using in these accounts. And we got to remember that. So the day I go double and go on tilt and risk double my allowed amount, I am being absolutely absurd and ridiculous compared to what's worked for me in my personal accounts. Like
Yeah.
I'm being,
No,
it's crazy.
this is great. It's a great conversation, man. Thank you for sharing. First off, crazy story, man. Crazy story. You're, back down to really low amount and then building it back up is more impressive than just catching it the first time. But like you said, the focus there being risk management, trying to be risk averse, thinking about your risk first is really what added to that, as opposed to you can't even tell what crazy strategy it is. And I agree with you 100%. Right. When we look at prop firm accounts, the amount that I'm sitting here risking up to $1,000 per trade on essentially a $6,000 account is very heavy, right? And I accept on the front end that given my win rate and risk to reward, I will lose accounts on the way. They're not like they're not safe from risk of ruin at
Yeah.
all, at all.
Which you
All it
would
takes
never
is
do in your personal account, right? If you've
no,
been
no,
building a
not
personal
at all.
portfolio for years,
Yeah, so
you don't want it to go below 10%. Really?
No, no,
If you have a
100%.
personal account and you're down 10%, you're feeling it.
So it does put it into perspective. And I think the question that guys got to ask themselves, right? If you're trading prop firms, that's what a lot of people are doing. If you're trading prop firms, do you want to hold on to that? I try to help guys, a little bit, just kind of talk about risk management. Is the game plan to hold on to that account? Is it to be a long game, to really hang on to that? Look at your win rate, risk to reward, and you've got to get very conservative, like we're talking about here. Very, very, very conservative. If you don't do that, and a lot of times what we're seeing on X and social media is we are way over risking, over leveraging for the actual size of the account, the risk capital that we have. And if you're not comfortable accepting on the front end, you will lose accounts. These will not stand the test of time. They will not make it the next 1,000 trades. Just if you do everything you're supposed to do with your nice win rate and risk reward, you're still going to have negative variance and a losing streak that takes you out. If you're not comfortable with that, then size down, right? Ask yourself, like, am I comfortable losing these? Am I comfortable, making it to maybe a payout faster, a larger payout on the way to losing some of these? If the answer is no, then size way down. But again, if you think about it in a personal account, 1%, 2% is pretty heavy, right? Large size like live accounts, like I was trading Forex accounts, my own capital, way conservative, way conservative when you think about a risk per trade relative to the actual size of the account. So yeah, I think it's a great conversation, but the biggest piece, if anybody could take anything away from that, listen to Luna's story there, I think, which is so helpful. There's no fucking magic strategy. Excuse my language. There's no magic combination of the way that you do stuff. If you can think about risk first, if you can be very, very tight, you give yourself a big runway, you find out what's working, what's not working, you survive the losing streaks, and then you can slowly grow, So solid, man. And I agree with all of it. Chat says good convo, good stream, enjoying the convo, or enjoying the stream, good convo. There we go. What's up, Ryan? Ralph, over leveraged and blue accounts. Yeah, man, scale back. You got to ask yourself that question. What is the goal, right? Or is the goal to hold on to the account? And I've worked with a lot of guys and talked to a lot of guys where the goal is to hold on. You got to size way down, way down. Trading the 150K account, maybe it's $100 risk per trade. Like, that's still aggressive relative to it being a $6,000 account, right? But you can't be at this big level unless you are comfortable with that risk, right? And it's that accepting of risk on the front end.
This is looking, we're consolidating here a little bit. These
Chopping a bit.
5-minute candles are just bar coding. I'm expecting some sort of breakout here at some point, but yeah, I'm being patient for my setups and not trying. It's Friday too, so I'm going in today with a very patient approach so far.
Yeah. I'm looking at this. I'm looking at this ES kind of consolidating above VWAP a bit, just hanging out at this level, this 58.10, trading 58.10 and a quarter right now. There's liquidity up towards that prior day low. Next area that I could see getting involved would be a little bit above that prior day low level for another really aggressive short. But that would, again, now really be counter to this. But I would see, I could see something like that, a pullback and then maybe a continuation back down.
And one more thing, while we're waiting on the charts to give us something here, a really underappreciated thing with prop firms is these stats, guys. So like I'm here on my top 1 futures, and look at all these stats we have here. So when we're blowing through accounts, if you're not doing strict journaling, if I'm not strictly journaling, like right here, I got my IB trades, right? I got my, look at these. That's a good win streak right there. If you're not journaling, I have some scalps here. I have some divs here. If you're not journaling and you're blowing through your accounts, then it's really hard to track your progress, So one really cool thing with prop firms is where we get all these types of statistics from them, and it's really easy to kind of view our progress over time. So I can come in here and really like be honest with myself. So if you're cycling through accounts and you're not also journaling, then you're kind of not taking advantage of the fact that the prop firms are giving us all this data. Look, trade duration, all this stuff. We can use this for our advantage to improve our trading and to be accountable and all the things. And if you're not using that, like, so that's why I trade like one strategy per account. On my top step accounts, I'm just trading the previous day levels as my key confluence. Like, I need those levels to be in these accounts. And so I really know my track rate based on that. And so I really like using prop firms for that advantage, because I have my journals, but then I also have my prop firm, so I can always double check, like if the account balance is going to be real with me. Is this working or not? Am I up or down in the strategy? And
Yep.
so I like keeping accounts for that reason, but also like my approach to prop firms was never to flip accounts or anything. I know the people making the most money are good traders, and then they're taking advantage of the fact that they're leveraged and that they can flip accounts, whatever. But for me, I just want to learn to build a trade in my personal account. So I'm really taking that longer approach. And at times I've kind of been unsure about it, but I really like that I can look at these accounts I've had since September, for example, or even I have an Apex one for earlier, I think like July, and I can go back and my proof is in the pudding. I have every trade I've ever done on that account. So when we start cycling through accounts, we start to focus more on recency bias, like, well, I'm up for the last 3 days, but really in the long run, we know that doesn't matter. We have red days, we have winning days, we have red months, we have losing months. In the longer term, that could throw us off compared to keeping account for longer or doing your own journaling. So I don't know. I just thought of that and wanted to jump back in
Yeah,
with that.
no, it's great. It's great insight, man. Use the tools available, right? Track what you can. We are lucky to have all these stats. And yeah, I think, set your goal, right? Like, what is the goal? Is it you are, already a consistent trader and you want to be really aggressive in these accounts? Is it that you want to learn and, kind of take these skills with you? How much capital do you have? Like, I try to talk to guys and think about risk management. Like, in the individual account is important, but then also from like a larger level, right? Everybody's at a different stage financially. How much are you willing to spend over the course of the month on prop firms, right? What is that? And that should dictate, or the year maybe, that should dictate how you treat those accounts, right? Somebody who's, kind of what we're talking about, cycling through a lot or just being very aggressive, that's going to spend $10,000, $20,000 a month. And yes, like, that's out there in a pretty high frequency these days, is going to be extremely different than someone that's looking to spend, one account for the next like 3 months, right? They're going to invest their money, and that's just, different to everybody. But that larger picture, I think, of risk management. But yeah, as a whole, I'd say most guys are sizing too big, pushing it too hard. They don't really give their strategy, their edge, a chance to just play out, and they would actually probably just do well with some nice base hits if they calmed it down a little bit. But yeah, there's a lot of advantages to prop firms, such a low barrier for entry and so much upside opportunity, but it can quickly go the other way, right? We just bad expectations. We are comparing ourselves to all of this craziness that we see, which is out there. But a lot of times what you're not comparing is the bankroll of that person's working with, right? Like,
Yep.
they're sitting at the high stakes poker table, right? And their bankroll is huge. And you're going over to the penny slots and expecting to do what they do, and you blow your entire bankroll or you go to the high stakes table rather, right? And you actually have the skills, you have something that would play out, but you can't withstand losing a couple hands first, right? So that's kind of the way that I think about it. And no, it's not to be discouraging. I think you could make a lot happen with a little, but it's all relative. It's all relative.
Yep.
So
I love it. Yeah. And it's like, oh, it's always that struggle, we're always optimizing. So it's like, I'm always like, I feel like I'm just getting to, like, right now I'm really trying to work towards payouts, and I feel like I got my consistency and I struggled a bunch. And now to get there though, I know it's still more of the same thing, just going slow. Like I have to just give myself time and patience and trust the process. Right.
yep.
And that's
Painfully
all there is to
slow.
it. Painfully
Just
slow.
painfully slow. Yeah, I was talking about it in my Discord yesterday. I was saying that there's been a lot of times in my trading career where I felt like you've done a lot of work, you put so much time in, and it just takes so long for the results to finally show. And I'm starting to feel like I'm at that point a little bit just in my own trading to get even more consistent with payouts. And it just takes a long time. And it's how long can you stay in the game? Can you just kind of keep taking the punches? And eventually you get better. Eventually, as if you're doing the right work the way you are, if you're just YOLOing accounts, maybe that's not the best way to learn anything. But if you're tracking some data, you're showing up every day to actually do the work. You're asking the hard questions about yourself, your mindset. You're going to get better, right? And you're going to continue to grow. But yeah, it's painfully long. It takes painfully long time in this game.
Yeah,
There we go.
I tried YOLOing for like
Like
6 months. I didn't even know. I mean, I didn't mean to try. I did it though. The first 6 months, I think I spent about 15 grand, and I didn't get anywhere. I didn't get payouts from that. And so it took me doing that though to get to where I'm at now,
Yeah. Yep. No, I've been there getting way too well. First, I was way too aggressive in live accounts before I actually got myself back together. But yeah, even coming over like Top Step the beginning of last year, 2024, they had these super inexpensive accounts. They ran all those deals, $19 accounts. People had like $4.50 accounts. And you don't realize, because it doesn't feel like a lot of money, especially if I'm coming from live accounts, he's pretty large, capital that you're working with. But all of a sudden, I'm realizing like I'm running through accounts, by like the tens, like combines, like what am I doing here? What is this is just because they're cheap? You're not trading well. You're not learning anything. You're not, actually be able to track any of it. When something works, it's just luck, So,
bro, when I started with Top Step, I was I'd buy like 10 to 20 accounts, because at that point, one of my personal account trades, I'd risk like up to like $1,000 on it around per trade. And so it's like, oh, $1,000, that's 20 accounts. And so I just buy like 10, dude. And I was like, okay, so one account is like a 20th of a trade. Okay, all in. Guess what? It didn't work.
No, I can't remember if I got 10 or 20 combines on the $19 deal, but I was like, this is a no-brainer, right? It's like $190 for 10, no problem. And the first set that I had, I didn't even get close to passing a single one. I lost them all rapidly. And I'm like, what am I doing here? Like, first off, you know how to trade, right? You know what's trading, what's not trading. Like, what is the point? But then also what happens on the back end of that is you do that for long enough, you don't realize you rack up, thousands of dollars in a bill, just because the accounts are cheap. I think people do it with Apex a lot. The accounts are so cheap, and it's just quickly pass, quickly YOLO, quickly pass. Maybe you get towards a payout, but can you do it consistently? It just begs the question. So I think I won't be a purist and say like just learn how to trade and create the one skill. There is a bit of a game that we're playing here, right? There's a unique rules that are a different dynamic to work within than a live account, and not that you need to custom tailor to that, but being aware of it and paying attention to how your strategy is going to look with a 20% consistency rule, how it's going to look with a end of day trailing drawdown, and maybe you're on a combine, right, where it makes sense to risk more in the same day. Like there's certain little dynamics here that are different. But as a whole, right, like the goal of everybody, I think at its core, should be to learn how to trade well, not to find a hole and leverage gaming a system that's going to go away as soon as they figure out you found the hole, And unfortunately, we're watching, today's the day, we're watching prop firms continue to tighten up, not in a way that we can't work, but rules are changing, right? They continue to get adjusted, and if you can trade, whatever that really means, you can find a way to extract money from the markets. You can adjust risk, you can size down, you can work within different rules and regulations, and that comes from actually trading, not just 15 NQ contracts like that meme that Tanner did. 15 full size NQ contracts, full port at New York Open. Like it's just not the way. So.
Yeah,
that's my thoughts.
Yeah, man. I went from that's such real talk, because like I went from spending thousands a month. Like I think my first like 6 months or something, I spent like 15K, which is from my real trading account. That's like money I made already. I could have bought a car or something, whatever. That could be a down payment on a house, even on a small property. And I went from spending thousands a month to now like my expenses, which I keep track of them all. I can show my expenses. I don't actually have it updated all the way right now, but here we go. January. Look, this is all my accounts, and including TradingView, add-ons, bookmap, everything. $308, guys. February, $248. So I went from blowing tons of money, and I realized I wasn't taking payouts. What I needed to do was reduce my costs. And guess what? I stopped buying all these extra accounts. And look, you're talking about $19 combines. Here we go. I still have half of them right
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
$19.
Hold on to them.
And I only have, I think, 2 left now. And once I started tracking it and really thinking of it as a business, I stopped hemorrhaging thousands of dollars a month, and now I can get by with only a few $100 a month. Some months are more. This month I bought these Apex accounts, $700. But this is a huge difference from spending thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And actually, my trading, guess what? Who would have thought it got so much better since I
Improves.
stopped? So
Yeah.
I had a short here. I didn't take it since the stop loss was slightly too high. I really could have taken this, but the way it's choppy right now, I just decided not to. But I did have my setup here, and I could have taken that. But
choppy consolidation. Plus, we're yapping, but it's good conversation.
Yeah, I had some confluence on bookmap too. We kind of rejected up at below the 21,000s. We were kind of topping off, and I had multiple confluences to take this, and I just decided not to though, and
we're hanging.
Being patient. Today, I'm all about trying to be really, really patient. So if it's not 100%, I'm just kind of staying out.
Yeah, this to me now, and I talk I talk a lot about it. Like I love to be trading when we're live trading here. I like to put trades on. I like to be able to manage them. I'm one for a small profit for a trail out on a half risk trade for anybody that hopped on late. 247.20 across 3. But this is choppy, right? And if there's nothing really here for me specifically, I'm going to try to just do my best to hang out, not end it on a bad loss Friday. We're starting to kind of drift lower here, but we popped at the open right back to VWAP. And this to me is just classic VWAP chop, right? We're probably going to make a decision, right, to either pull back down lower and really fill out this, daily candle to the downside, or really retrace and pop to the upside. But I don't like to just make a arbitrary guess out of a level of consolidation, because oftentimes, first off, we're going to sweep a high before we go the other way, right? So even if I get it right from down here, oftentimes I'm stopped out before it moves in my direction. But it's just not clear, right? Not super clear. So not my setup at all. I'm looking at the map. If I could frame anything, looking at the map, looking at bookmap, if I could frame anything, it would probably be another trade, what I would say a trade from the extreme, way down around like a sweep of that overnight low level. That would be really aggressive, but I'm not going to catch anything long from the middle of this. I'm not going to start trying to trade this range. To the upside, if we continue to form this structure, I think it could be a little bit dicey to jump in again. Short, but I would look for it up here. Crack above prior day high. I probably wouldn't jump, prior day low. Probably wouldn't jump right in, but I could see... Yeah, I could see like the 40s, this level that was tested multiple times. I think we could get a nice rejection if we came up there, something I could run with a tight stop loss. Again, it would be pretty damn counter if we actually move that high. We start to sell off here really aggressively. I think this could get ugly quick. I'm not going to take a trade to the downside, stop right above here like I just mentioned. But gun to my head, which I'm glad I don't have, that's probably what I would be. Probably what I would be. I say that all the time.
That'd make a good trading show.
Yeah, dude, take the trade.
At a random moment, you have to take a trade. What's it gonna be?
Yeah. Well, that was like the top step, the reversal challenge. Yeah, that ridiculous. By the way, chat and Luna, just so you guys know, I'm the 3-time undefeated reversal challenge champion for Top Step TV. They had to take me off because I was so good. No,
dude, that sounds like a challenge. Let's go. No.
Oh no. You know what's funny? Like, I'd be on there and they're all so nice and joking around, and I'd be like sweating, like hitting the button. Like it's a not even a combine, it's the practice account, but I would be trying so hard. But I had some solid run ups there, just like smashing the reverse.
That's chill, guys. I'm doing good. There's no problem. You're covered in sweat.
Yeah, man. No, but fun stuff. But yeah, I don't have anything out of this area, man. And again, we've had a lot of tough New York sessions. For me personally, I don't like to say, oh, the market's hard, the market's tough, because someone else is probably killing it when I'm struggling and vice versa. But we've had a lot of these choppy sessions, right? Like yesterday, this was like really big back and forth movement. I mean, we did find some direction to the upside, but this was pretty gnarly, and then huge sell-off as we pushed towards like that 5,900 level, didn't hit it. If I go back, what was this, the nice down day? no, this was pretty choppy as well. This New York session was pretty choppy. We did pop to the upside on that crazy news, came back down. It's been tough. New York session has really not, in my humble opinion, yeah, this was the really ugly one. Just not been really great to work with. Like here's 9:30 on the 20th, a couple days ago. This is the range, up until we broke out to the downside, and this is 2 o'clock over here. This is the 1 minute chart.
I don't ever want to see that range again,
dude. This is like,
why are you showing me that?
No, it's like it's crazy. It's tough, man. So if you're a directional, maybe you catch something from the extremes, but if you're a directional trader, if you're looking for a breakout, like oh man, like that looks even like if I'm back here, this looks really good. Like we fake out to the downside. We kind of chop around, we come back up, maybe we take it, you try to get long, that doesn't work, and now we start to aggressively come down. I think everybody's like, all right, we're finally going to break now. This was the like bullshit chop, fake out above VWAP, come and sweep the high or get close to that high and then rip lower. And then what do? We come all the way like back up. So, listen, it's been tough, and we've had a lot of this kind of just slow movement in the morning, choppy back and forth, indecision. It happens, right? We had a crazy movement in pre-market today. Trump talking about tariffs has been a massive driver of these markets. So I think for anybody watching, I'm right there with you. I'm essentially break even on this week in these top one accounts. I think I'm actually small down, but it's been tough, man. It's been choppy. I think if you can stay alive, if you can stay patient, stick to your system, stick to your risk management, you can make yourself available for when the time comes. I wouldn't be way too overly cautious, but if you start to see the same stuff, like I was just mapping out over and over and over again, maybe it begs the question, should I be diving in? Especially if you're taking like back-to-back losses, daily loss limits and stuff like that. Because this New York session's been tough, man. Been really tough.
It's been really hard, man.
Yeah, even this is not like, look at like the 9:30.
Yeah, that short setup I had would have been good. It was like we said, it was too choppy. So I actually want to just I want to be happy that I was able, even though it's good, but I'm happy that I'm being patient. I'm building that discipline to wait for the A+ setup. So,
it's definitely a mindset thing as well as a waiting thing. But like the thing that I keep getting displayed to me is the less that I care about making progress in an account, the less that I care about having to trade, the better I do. And like Tanner was talking about this. There's a he ran up a tick trader account that he like doesn't care about at all. He's getting moved live. I had a one of the guys that I've like worked with in the past, talked to, has ran up a Tradeify account to a live account. It's the account that he cared about least. He was trading Top Step. But I've kind of got that getting demonstrated to me where I'm continuing to do well in Top Step accounts that I'm hardly trading. Like this week, I took just trades to make sure I didn't like hit the not activation, but I continue to take payouts from those. And then here I am on the top one futures accounts that I'm focused heavily on. And again, why is that? If I have to really dig deep, well, I don't care at all about them, or I care about them, but it's not my focus. I'm able to manage the trades very well because it's like hold the thing all the way. And I'm only putting on really good trades because I'm not sitting there saying, I got to make progress, I got to focus. And they're all just A+ trades, right? Not all, but for I think that's what a lot of what contributed to it. So
you don't hesitate when you see a setup on it. You're not scared.
You throw it right on, no hesitation.
Yeah,
you manage
that's
it
how I'm
well.
in my combines. Like this one, I'm up $1,300 now today. And I haven't touched my fund it, but it's like in my combines, I don't think about it. And I swear for some reason with Top Step, I can pass the Top Step combines better, like so easily. And it's because I think I had them cheap and stuff and I don't worry about them.
Yeah. Trading risk-free, right? That's how it works. Same thing. I could run through combines. Nowadays, max profit in the 50Ks. But can you do that in the XFA? No, definitely not, right? Because you're treating it completely different. It's real money now, or still fake internet money, sim money, but it's real money. So it's just, and what does that come down to? It's a mindset thing. I think it's a mindset and psychology piece, the way that we're thinking about the accounts, the way that we're thinking about trading. But man, it's demonstrated to me again this time around where I'm like, can't miss, taking payouts multiple a month, but none from the account that I'm, hyper focused on. And I think that's the reason. So the initial point was to stay patient. And if you could stay patient and just wait all day if you have to, with no setup, if there's nothing there for you, and then when it is there, act quickly, without fear, without reservation, hesitation. Mark Douglas quote. It's solid, man. And I challenge myself to do it. I definitely don't always do it, man.
And then we just do it again. We wake up and do it again the next day.
Do it again.
And then the next day. And then the next day.
I see chat was asking, yo, Zach, how much would you risk per day for a top 125K account? Okay, so first off, that's going to be completely individual to you, right? So like we were talking about earlier, everybody, I'm going to try to answer this question, but first I'm going to give you this. Everybody's in a different spot, right? Everybody has a different idea of what they want to do with that account, how long they want to hold on to it, what it means to them. You know, are they going to cycle through them? You know, what's the game plan? But for example, if I'm looking at it in the 25K account, you got $1,000 loss limit. Here's where I would start with it. First, I would ask those questions, right? Like, do I want to be at risk of losing the account on the way to getting to a payout faster? If the answer is no, you're going to go very conservative. If the answer is yes, how aggressive do you want to be? And there's some more questions. But let's say the answer is probably like no, we want to hold on to it for a while. You're looking at a $1,000 max loss limit. If you traded, let's say just for example, $100 risk per trade, you give yourself 10 L's back to back. And I just go to the worst case scenario, right? Not knowing your risk per trade, not knowing your risk to reward, not knowing your win rate, right? Which are the key pieces in actually determining this. And again, Luna was going through in detail how he determines this. So I'm gonna throw it to him afterwards. But you know, if you started super small and you were like $100 risk per trade, at very best, you know, unless I hammer 10 L's in a row, I'm holding on to this account, right? It would probably be a pretty gnarly losing streak for most guys, unless you run a really low win rate, high risk to reward. And you might say, yeah, I do. Keep dropping it down. I would also look at setting a risk per day, right? If you say, I don't want to lose the account I want to hold on to the account for at least 10 days, you can't put on more than $100 risk per trade, right? You can be trading some micros. But it's individual to the person for sure, as far as how aggressive or conservative you want to be in the account specifically. And there's no wrong answer there. And then number two is roughly, and you can do it on average, you can look at your accounts. If you're trading a fixed risk to reward, you know, that's helpful for it. But you can look at your rough win rate and risk to reward and take a look at what that means for your expectancy over the next trades, but also the probability of seeing X amount of consecutive losers, right? Like we talked about in Tampa, over the next 50 trades, 25 trades. That's how I would start to break it down. And if I could leave you with one thing, go with less off the start. Especially if you're an instant funded account, there's no time limit. There's no challenge to do anything. You always want to be under leveraged, feeling like you're under leveraged, like we were talking about earlier. I think that's a great way to think about it. And then you'll have time to scale. If you come out too hot out of the gate, you dig yourself a hole, you realize something's not working, you're in too heavy, it puts yourself in a bad spot. So instant funded stuff, take it slow, man. Take it super slow. But again, personal to you and how aggressive or conservative you want to be. And then personal to win rate and risk to reward for sure. And frequency of trades, right? You know, what are you doing day in and day out? Is it 10 trades a day? Is it one trade a day? Probably going to be a whole lot less risk if you want to give yourself multiple entries. So that's kind of my thoughts. That's my thoughts there, chat. Chart time is a real thing. Yes, it is. 2 traders I follow daily make a great team. Yeah, man, this is fun. I like having people on. It's awesome conversation. Love getting different perspectives, especially while the market's just chopping around at VWAP. Here we are on ES. I'll show my screen again. Right back to VWAP. Sitting here, retesting, not continuing to the downside. We do have quite a bit of orders on bookmap above and below. I could see this going either way from here. Like I said, gun to my head, which I'm happy I don't have. Probably short back down towards overnight low, but we got a really heavy cumulative volume delta, from this morning running this on bookmap. We really look like we could want to go back and test prior day low. There's a lot of what guys would call an imbalance here, just a low volume area. And if we start to move any higher than this 815s, I could see us quickly returning back towards that prior day low level. Area that I'd be looking for an entry would be a little bit farther up here, just where there's some more consolidation. We've had it tested multiple times as some support, maybe like the 40s, right into the 40s for an aggressive short. Very counter to what we've got on the day so far. But let's see if we get the breakdown here. I don't.
So I have the NQ initial balance right at these highs of the session so far. And I had, like, in hindsight now, maybe I would have taken this on one of my Apex PAs, which I kind of reserved for these failed auction type of scenario, even though I'm still waiting for my setup. But so I did have that set up here, and there could easily be another day, or if I was on my stream, or I don't know, there could have easily been a moment where I decided to take this div here. for the
Sure.
short of the failed auction, especially seeing these candles here kind of starting to sell off back in this range and kind of showing indecision. But like I already said it a million times, like it was too choppy for me to enter it. In hindsight now, I'm getting the setup. I got the failed auction. It wasn't the worst. I probably could have found a spot to get in for a decent R&R in my rules. Yeah, like this, 26 points. So definitely a valid trade there. But at this point now, I'm just kind of looking for the other side of it to see if that happens down here. But
Yeah, I could see the long bounce off of that initial balance. I could see a short setting up on ES, but again, it's still pretty choppy. So ES, looking at ES's initial balance, which I've gone back and forth in watching the initial balance. I do like it, but I got so many damn levels on my chart, it just
yeah,
starts to
I
starts to
started
overlap.
doing it in one account. I had a Take Profit Pro or Take Profit Trader account, and I had a lot of traders in my group who were using initial balance, and I just started doing it with very minimal rules. So my first rule I made was that 5-minute candle open and close outside of IB, and I was only trading breakouts. I passed that count in exactly a month, right before the rebuild, just trading it properly risking, whatever, $200 per trade ish. I
Nice.
passed that account, so then I kept doing it, so that's the only
Yeah.
reason I'm trading it now. And it kind of gives me something a little different than my other setup, so I'm not all in on this whole RSI thing.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Hey, I got someone in the chat asked, Luna, could you explain how to copy things from TradingView to Project X like
Oh
you
yeah,
mentioned earlier?
so it's actually simpler than you might think. So the problem here is, so I'm looking at a NASDAQ chart. So with like a lot of things with order flow and with getting my value area levels, previous day levels, I'm actually using NASDAQ minis. I'm not using micro. So it doesn't copy as well over to micro. So I'll probably have to change the level, but we can see here, I want to copy this. So literally I just select my level, hit control copy, and I'm on a Windows. So whatever, copy it. You can right click copy. You probably can't even see that. And then go over to, we can go to, oh, here, let's add one, because I already have these levels on here. So I'm going to add a line here. Whatever, I already have it set here. Boom. I'll just add a level right at these lows. And I'm going to control C and go over to top one futures. And let's see if it copies it over. There it goes. So see, because the MNQ is a little different than NQ, it's slightly off, but I can put it right there. So you can just copy. There's certain indicators though and things that aren't available. Like I make a lot of my own private indicators. Like my initial balance here, I made this myself, and it draws these little lines at the balance high and low, and automatically puts it on my chart. So like I can't copy that over to Project X. So certain like indicators don't work, or strategies or whatever. But the basic things, levels, lines, and most things you can copy over. Like this box, I can probably copy over. But like I said, this is NQ, this is MNQ, so I don't think it's going to copyright, but there it is. So then I can put it into place.
Super cool.
And same thing between any other Project X, between Top Step and Top One, I can copy my levels just like I did with my value levels. I made these on my TradingView chart right here in the morning. I dropped down to the 1 minute. So this is something, it might be controversial, but so for doing the previous day levels, I've gone through different ways. After I read the markets in profile, I was using the 30-minute candles to calculate my value area. But after talking to some people about how TradingView calculates it, I actually now I drop down to the 1 minute when I calculate my value levels. Let it use the 1 minute chart. After conversations, that's what I'm convinced is the most accurate way, instead of using the 30-minute like I used to.
This is good because I come off I usually come off the 15-minute, which is just kind of a, I know it's different. No, it's different across, but I didn't mean to cut you off. But yeah, go ahead.
No, you're good. Yeah. And so now, if I'm trying to be disciplined, I just want, like, to me, what's important is that I do it consistently. So some people only take the New York levels, and some people take the entire session levels. So actually, you notice I have both on here: New York value area high and yesterday's value area high. So I realized though that most people were using the New York ones. At least someone that I was talking to, who is an amazing trader, amazing trader. I mean, he literally is taking out like probably more than 150 this year, I think so far is where he's at from his props, and 150K. And he uses only the New York sessions. And I realized that I was doing it different than him. But then I also realized that the way I was doing it was working for me, and I didn't want to change it. So then what I started looking at was both of them. And now I have the New York levels and the other levels, and it kind of gives me a perspective. But I'm calculating those the same way now every day on the 1 minute. I used to do the 30 minute because I thought that's how you could do it. That's how it works. It calculates it using the 30 minute like TPO chart or whatever, right? The footprint
Mm-hmm.
chart.
Mm-hmm.
And but the way TradingView calculates it, until someone proves otherwise to me, I'm now dropping to the 1 minute.
The one
Other people
minute.
do that. Cami Capital does that, and other people do that, and they say the 1 minute is the way to calculate it. So
I know Cami Capital. I seen him. I seen him come off the 1 minute. Yeah. For those that don't know, because we got deep into it quickly, we're talking about fixed range volume profile. Make sure I got this right, Luna. Fixed range volume profile, and we were talking about taking point of control value area high and low, and not only the time that we mark it. Like I mark regular trading session hours for me from the prior day. That's the level that I've done consistently, and I think that's the most important. Like you said, just stick to the exact same thing every day. This way, you get objective, consistent levels. But we're talking about the time frame that you view the volume profile on adjusts. Sometimes it's very slight, sometimes it's drastic. It adjusts exactly where those value area high, point of control, and value area low, like you're seeing on Luna's chart right there, are.
yeah.
So argument is being made for the 1 minute chart. I'm gonna have to take a look at it. I do mark prior weeks. My two are prior day value area, prior day volume profile, regular trading session hours, and then prior week where I just take the entire
Oh,
week
nice.
and I run those. Sometimes they're not relevant because we just move too much away from it. But
So I
yeah, I'm
do
gonna have to take a look
I
at
do
it.
two session volume profiles that I have edited. One that I have just for the New York session, and one that I have for the entire session for the entire day. Wait,
Mhm.
where do I have this one from? Yeah, for the entire session. So from right 6 Eastern Standard Time until market close until 4 p.m. So that's how I think it's until 4, but yeah, that's how I'm doing it. So I put on my New York levels. You can see this is a New York session here, and then I put on my entire day levels. So, and I do it
Nice.
manually. There's indicators that do it. There's also
I
top
do it
step
manually
levels,
also. I
but
mark it
top
every
step
day.
levels are far different than mine, you know. And so I realized I got to do what works for me and what I'm used to. And the only adjustment I eventually made was switching to the 1 minute time frame, just so I know I'm always doing it consistently. Because I actually at first I wasn't even looking at that. I was just like using whatever it showed me.
Yep. Nice. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I do. I notice it's in different spots for almost everybody, everybody's charts. And I think it just comes down to, ooh, I'm watching this start to break. I think it comes down to picking something that works for you. And if whatever you believe in, maybe it's the 1 minute, I'm going to have to see how far off the 15 minute is from the one.
We
Uh,
can
and, and just
sorry.
doing it consistently day in and day out.
We can do a little we can talk to some people, and I have a friend who's a quant and stuff like that. We could get to the bottom of this and actually do like what is,
What is
there's a
the
correct
answer? Which
there's
time
there's
frame
not a
for the.
yeah,
It's got to be, right?
the answer that I'm saying that's like the correct answer, even though what I'm saying is do what you do and keep doing it the same way. To be
Yeah. Yeah.
consistent is the most important thing with anything in this. But it's because the value area is, is 70% of the volume. And so when you change the chunks of data that you're using to create that number, it's going to create a different number. So we're using an average using the 30-minute candles, then it's going to clump the volume within those 30-minute candles before it creates the average.
Hmm.
So it's a little more granular when we get down into the 1 minute, then it's spreading it out more. And I think it's a little more accurate to actually collect exactly the 70% of the volume within that session compared to using the bigger candles, I think is the main reason. But someone specifically explained it to me about the 1 minute, saying that because of the way TradingView is in particular, the 1 minute is more accurate compared to other charting software where it might be different. Like if you have a TPO chart, it might be better to use the 30-minute or something. So I'm not trying to say this for everything, but this is what I heard for TradingView, and I'm sticking with it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I like it. Now, again, I didn't have the answer on it. My thought was, well, it's a little bit different across all time frames. I'm going to pick one and stick to it. And I'll at
Exactly.
least know I have consistency. Probably going to be a little bit off, but as long as I have faith and trust in that level that I'm marking the same way every day, if I'm going to use it that way, I like it. I do throw discretionary levels up on the chart, kind of where I was eyeballing like the 40s outside of just objective stuff, but that's something that I've changed. Not changed. This is a while now, but more objective levels. Like I really like clearly defined prior day high and low, overnight high and low, the way that I define it. Oh, I'm watching this thing break.
Yeah.
I'm
I
sorry.
missed
I
my
don't want this.
trade.
Yeah, I'm looking at this short. Like I think it's gonna go. I don't love it out of this, right? Like I just don't love it
Yeah.
out of this consolidation. I'm gonna show my chart real
I
quick.
wanted to see like if we hit my levels, like yesterday's high or like even this 2100. I would somebody just bought 133 Nasdaq. Okay, maybe that's a stop loss, but I would have loved to see interaction with my levels and then a rejection. And this level though isn't one of my main levels of 21,000, but I still,
Yeah.
because I had it in my chart, I would have wanted to see it tap it before shorting. So I just, I didn't get it.
Yep. Yeah, this is just too choppy. Like I start to get a feel, and again a little bit of intuition, but I'm gonna watch this come. I know I'm gonna watch this come right back up. Yeah, here it is, coming right back up towards VWAP, and it just gets too choppy to try to trade right from the middle of it. From me personally, like I prefer, especially zoomed in on the 1 minute, because I think things are just a little bit differently based on like the thesis, right, the time frame. If I'm wrong, I want to be like really wrong. I want it to, continue in the direction that it's moving against me and go and continue higher. I really don't enjoy getting direction right and just being ticked out on a stop loss in the middle of consolidation. And I'm like, yeah, well, obviously your stop loss was one tick, in the middle of consolidation where I would have mine right now on a short. So I just,
Yeah.
I don't have it from down here,
Yeah. Patience is really the hardest thing for me. And I just always, anytime I decide not to take a trade, I really just, if there's a reason why not to, I'd rather stick with that. It doesn't matter if my trade goes. And to me, that's a big win because that's one of my issues that I've had to struggle with. And that's why I'm using my entry signal so specific, is because I will, it'll throw me on tilt. I'll miss a trade and then jump back in late and whatever and just go in the blender. So to me, to be able to be patient and just sit here and look at the charts is a winning thing. Like
Yep.
I'm winning just by not taking a trade automatically.
100%.
And I
Yeah,
try to
like
maintain that.
some of those older traders, like Market Wizards and some of those books, they talk about like, because I guess a lot of them were like on the floor, they had to take trades for whatever they were doing, hedging, different things, being, market makers or whatever. But they're like, it's such an insane advantage for retail traders to be able to just sit and wait and not put on any trades at all until the conditions are perfect for them, whatever that means, and then just let it rip. So we forget that by way, I think, of trying to make progress, trying to trade every day, wanting to have that all green P&L month. And if we just sit patient when like the market doesn't do anything, when you come back and everybody else is like blue accounts, choppy, nightmare situation, and you're nice and flat, it's such a good feeling. Such a good feeling. Not that anybody else lost and you won, but if I look back and I go, wow, every trade that I would have taken, like the short that I was eyeballing, where it's pushing right back up right here above the high, every trade, would have been an L, and I didn't take any of those unnecessary losses. You feel good about that. So
Yeah.
I think it's maturing as a trader. Usually it just comes from getting burned way too many times, putting your hand on the stove a zillion times over. And then eventually you go, okay, there's nothing here for me, so I'm just going to learn to hang out. But yeah, this is super choppy.
Yeah, it's the same thing here. Like I had a setup down here I could have taken. I have a setup now for short I could take. And that's just my entry setup. So these are the things required for me to enter, but then I need that confluence. I need a good reason. Sometimes it's just really strong order flow, and I take it in my top one or my apex or whatever if I don't have the previous day levels. But without a really good reason, yeah, I'm just trying my best to sit on my hands here.
Yeah, yeah. No, I like it. It's cool to see. The RSI thing is different. I think and it's interesting the way that you have kind of your rules for entry, right? Like at a bare minimum, I need X, Y, and Z to happen, and then my discretion comes in at the actual entry. If I have bookmap setting up the way that I want, if I'm reading all these additional other things where I can take the entry, I think that's important for guys to think about, for anybody listening that's talking about discretion, right? So it's hard to decide how much discretion to apply right before we're just gambling. What flexibility am I going to allow to have and still have consistency?
And
Well, you
those
write
things
it in.
come from a place. Like I have those rules for a reason. I documented my trades, and I realized like if I have a more than a 30-point stop loss, my win rate goes down. I can't deny it. I could show it right now. I did a study on a bunch of trades right here, losers, and then we have winners, and the ones with the under 30-point stop loss, I have more winners. And so I
Yep.
did that study here, and now I just know it. I can't deny that. So
Yep.
even if I had a
Data
good
doesn't
setup,
lie.
but I don't have. I have a good setup. Let's just say like right now I have a long on the 5-minute I could have taken, but my stop loss is 58 points. So I know that is going to statistically over the long run, maybe not today, but over the bigger picture, that is going to reduce my win rate. And I'm going to sit out of it. I'm good. Let's just do that.
Yeah. There you go. No, see,
You know?
that's what it comes down to. You know your data, right? You track your data. You know it feels really good today, looks really good today. It probably play out, right? It might play out, but in the long run, over the next 100 trades, that's not going to help, right? It's going to hurt you more than it helps you. So, and it's tough. It's tough to do some things like that. Like, again, I'm pretty partial with trade management, and I'm having it proven to me over and over again because I'm being too stubborn about it that like some things that I do are not helpful, right? They feel helpful, they feel like the right move, feels like the smart, risk averse type of a play, but you realize that in the long run, it might play out today, and might look like a genius, but in the long run, like it's not going to help. It's going to hurt more than it helps. So that's a good point. The data doesn't lie. You can't dispute that if you trade for long enough and you just pay attention to trends in your data. And I think you're really systematic about it, really diligent about it. For anybody watching, like even if you're not a spreadsheet person, it's going to help, right? Or use TradeZilla maybe. But you can go back through and throw executions on your chart. You can leave position tools on your chart. You can review, weeks of data at a time while you're having a cup of coffee. And I think really quickly with trade management, you'll notice trends. You'll notice things that you're doing that are hurting you more than they're helping you over a large sample size. But I do think tracking data could be super helpful. And again, I think you just get a lot of that in these prop accounts, right? In these prop accounts. But one thing I like to do, not to be too recency biased about it, but I like to throw executions on the chart, just go back through the prior week, over the weekend, or prior weeks, take a look at how the market's moving. What am I doing? How am I interacting with it? And obviously it's hindsight capital because you can just see everything in replay mode.
Right.
But you get a real good feel. You're like, wow, wait a minute. I was stopped for break even 9 times, and only one of those continued to a stop loss, and 8 of them continued to a take profit, right?
Yeah. How many times are you gonna check that box on your journal until you decide to make a rule that says I'm gonna hold it or whatever it is?
That's the question.
And this is something that you just said too in my own way here. So this is my journal. So I have my trade log and my trade journal. Trade journal is where I put my thoughts, put screenshots. So one thing I added to my trade journal, so I have like my pre-flight checklist here that's always been evolving. Like people are like, oh, is that what you do? I'm like, well, that's what I'm doing now. And it's bound to change. It's changed a bunch if you look past my streams. Normally I go over this in the morning. So one of the things here I added recently is check previous day journal entries, right? We got the PD journal entries instead of PD value area low, right? So check previous day journal entries. And what I do is I come down here and check my previous. So look, I highlight things that are like ideas, like I'm considering adding to my game plan. Right here, know how many times I've written this? No trades until 2 minutes after the open. And know why I just wrote that there in all caps and highlighted it? Because yesterday I took a trade with the open and a funded account, and I was like, why did I take that trade? I know I wait like literally 2 minutes is not very much to wait. A lot of people wait 15 minutes, 30 minutes. I literally only have to wait 2 minutes, and I've learned that lesson too many times. So now it reminds me, I look at my previous day journal. I already did this in the morning. Here's another thing. Consider using TradingView to plan out my trades before taking them on NinjaTrader. So on NinjaTrader, I realized that because I don't have the same P&L chart that I'm used to map out my trade ideas like this, I sometimes get in a trade and I realize my stop is wider than I thought. And during a volatile market, I'm like, oh, that looks like a good trade. I have my setup. I enter, and then I realize my stop is 50 points, not 30 points. Oh, so I put here, consider using TradingView. So I could have a rule that says if I don't have my chart, if I don't have my trade on TradingView, I won't take it in NinjaTrader. So, that's like an example. I just put that as my trading in my journal. And now I'm going to remember, okay, even if I'm taking on on NinjaTrader, make sure that I put my trade idea on the chart in TradingView. And that's going to help me slow down and make sure I have my right trade. So I go back and I look at these past journal entries to make sure there's nothing that I just like, it's like past self is hooking up future self.
Yep.
So I can go back and find these moments, and you can see where I start to change my rules. I'm like, okay, I'm adjusting how I trade, my accounts, my risk management, and I keep a record of all that in my trading journal. Sometimes I put screenshots of my day's P&Ls and trades, and so I can just quickly scroll through this and see if there's any breadcrumbs I left for myself that I want to remember going into the next day. So that's one of my new things I really like is look, instead of previous day levels, look at previous day journal entries. Here's a good one. Should have waited for another push before looking for these longs. There was also a bear div on the 5-minute RSI, and the 2-minute was weakening. So I took this on a 2-minute chart. Meanwhile, I had the opposite trade on the 5-minute chart. So this is something I've been bringing into my trading since that day, where when I enter a trade, I also look at the other side. Do I have if I'm going long, like right here, I can actually just show a real example of this. I had a long setup right here that I actually kind of liked. And so I told you on the 5 minute, it was too wide for my stop was too wide, but on the 2 minute, I actually had it, which I love the 2 minute. I had my 30-point stop. I would have had to enter it really quick. And we were talking. I wasn't prepared. I didn't enter it. I would have had to enter it really quick. The other reason I didn't enter it, is because guess what? I had the opposite trade. I had negative confluence. I had lower highs happening all before it. So I'm not going to take it. I had a bearish setup while I had the bullish setup. So boom, cancels each other out. I'm not taking it. So now I'm trying to be really diligent about looking for the opposite side. Okay, I'm looking for the long here, but is there also the short? And is there a short on a higher time frame on like the 5 minute or 15 minute? Then I definitely would stay out of the lower time frame trade while I have the higher time frame confluence. And that is literally because of this journal entry that I put here. And now I remember this.
It's awesome. It's awesome. It's sick. You do a lot of work on the back end, man. It's great to see. But again, that's how you start to progress, right? You can't improve if you're not tracking. I think a lot of times what happens is things start to work, things start to go well, and then it's tough to replicate it because you're kind of shooting from the hip and you don't know what you did in the first place to get some of those results. But yeah, just simple stuff like no trade, all caps highlighted, no trades 2 minutes until 2 minutes into the open. Like I love that. For me, it's a little while longer. Like I really don't love to get involved in the first 15 minutes. I just find for me personally, and again, this is like a data thing. My data shows, and I can go back in my live streams and watch it. The days that I take the quickest back-to-back L's that are just not pretty to look at all are in the first 15 minutes, and it's just, it's hard. It's sometimes you feel like you are going to miss the move, right? Because that does happen. You're anxious to trade, but if my data shows that my edge is worse, right? My win rate is worse. My risk reward is all worse in a specific time frame. Begs the question, why do I continue to trade it, right? Why would I continue to go down that same road? So, yeah, for me, it's definitely a hard 5 minutes. Like I'm hard pressed to hit that button before 5 minutes, but really towards that 9:45 time frame, 9:45 a.m. Eastern is better for me. But yeah, simple stuff like that. And again, you only know that if you remind yourself and take the note, So it's solid.
I have an exception with that opening thing. So I like to hold runners.
We got an exception on it.
I like to hold runners. So if I
okay.
a good trade, say I had a setup down here. Like say I was just betting, okay, we got this huge sell off on a tweet. Okay, we're chopping sideways. I get a div. My div sets up, which I'm just going to try to stop saying div because it triggers too many people about indicators and myself. But so I had my setup, non-price action based setup right here. And I had this huge wick candle. I could have convinced myself to take that. I could be like, wow, okay, there's really aggressive buys there. Maybe the bookmap was showing aggressors and whatever. And I'm like, okay, that could be the low of the day. It's like pre-market and we're starting to chop. We had a catalyst that is now kind of cooling out. I got my setup. So in this situation, if I'm holding a runner and we're up really high going into the open and I have a good stop loss, and at that point, that means I already locked in the win. It's just a runner. The win is in. I will hold that through news events. I will hold it through the opening as long as my prop firm allows me to do that. That's why I have different accounts with different rules slightly. But I love if I get a good runner on before a news event, I actually love that so much. And it can just turn into a big winner. And, once I've locked in a bit of profit on it, I will start to trail up, of course. But I love that when I have a runner on.
The crypto meme coin day.
Moonbags, baby. Yep, I actually just made a short about moonbags, but it's for real. And we can't do that with prop firms, but it's kind of the same thing with my runner strategy. Having that one little micro on or two micros, and we get a directional move the rest of the day, like that, because I'm trading low size and really risk adverse. Like in my XFAs, I'm risking around $200 a lot of times. That one runner can easily double my win for the day by holding one micro with no risk.
Hell yeah.
So for me, I feel like those outsized wins are really helpful to me, and I like to give myself that shot. However, if I have a short set up at a key level, I'll get out of that and take my short. If I'm in a long, let's say. Yeah. So, but I do like holding those runners a lot, and it's just something I adapted from my crypto trading. I call it the moon bag. Always hold a moon bag.
Always hold the moon bag. That's awesome.
Like my moon bag in crypto, that is what that really is, which I have a short about it. You can find on my crypto channel, Luna Trades Crypto. But it's like I'll literally take like 5 to 10% of the profits and just keep it in my account, you know? So it's like, I'll do it with stocks too. I'll make like a trade. Like I traded cat, maybe it was 2 years ago, and I kept like 4 shares. And now in my portfolio, I have 4 shares of Caterpillar that was a moon bag. And, you know, that's up really good right now. And I only held it because it was just profit, you know, it was like free rolling, you know,
Yeah.
free roll
Yeah.
bag. And I just keep that. And, you know, we can't do that with prop firms overnight, but we could kind of do it session by session a little bit. So that's something I do.
Yeah, intraday, man. If you can have the discipline to hang on to it, because you really have to hold it like all damn day. You think you could trail to break even, you could trail up with it. But if you have the discipline to hold it, it doesn't happen often. And but when it does, if and when it does, it's nice.
Yep.
I've watched some guys do it. Yeah.
I get stopped normally for like the bigger ones, you know, it's like 100 plus points. Like, cause I do trail, like in this situation, say we get this consolidation and a breakup, then here we go. I'm trailing 2 ticks under the low of that consolidation. And so that's me trailing really loose. Otherwise, if it's a little choppier, I'll trail with like the 2-minute or something like that.
Nice.
Just candle by candle, 15-minute, 5-minute candle, just depending. Like right now, the 2-minute, we would have got stopped out if I was trailing a runner. Like say I took that trade here, I would have got stopped out on the 2-minute trail. If I did it like the candle before, you know, ones that have already closed, we would get stopped out right here. However, on the 5-minute, if we look at the 5-minute chart, we wouldn't have been stopped out yet. So it's just how aggressive do I want to be? What are the current conditions? The 5 minutes haven't gone below the previous 5-minute candle. So right now I'd have my stop right here. On the 2-minute, we would have already got stopped out. So it's just all about how aggressive I want to be with it.
Absolutely. Watching ES try this level again, coming up to the top end of this consolidation. Maybe we start to break, but choppy so far, man. Super choppy session.
My last 3 reads have actually been good trades. This long here was good. The short up here was good. So I'm actually feeling pretty confident if I do get my setup with good price action. I'm probably I might still end up taking a trade here, but after seeing it play out a few times, I'm like, you know what? I think I have a good read on the market. I might be willing to put on the risk to give myself the possibility.
I like it. I'm watching yeah, bookmap's interesting today on ES. It's not terribly thin, and we don't have any massive stacks of orders now. We got a peak above again, this like 814 level. I think it's actually initial balance as well. We've tested multiple times. We're kind of turning around on it. I think we're gonna go run the highs and head back towards prior day low, based on this price action market structure that we keep coming into it, but. I'm not looking to buy this. I'm hanging tight, man. It's again kind of just a slow. I won't say no trade, right? Because I got my one on, trailed out, you know, pretty aggressively, but can't complain about, you know, being green in account. Yeah, this is choppy. Well, yeah, Luno, coming up on like 2 hours, man. Tell the people where to find you, man. Tell the people. Yeah, flies by. This was great, dude. This was great. We definitely got to run it again, right? I hope hope you guys are enjoying it. We definitely got to run it again. Luna, tell them.
I'd love to have you on my channel sometime too, if you're willing 100%. To jump on live. We 100%. Yeah. So where to find me? YouTube is where I focus on my YouTube, and mostly I focus on live streaming. Lately I've been doing a lot of like kind of bell to bell and just kind of staying on throughout the day. So Luna Trades, and then I have my crypto channel, Luna Trades Crypto, and then I have Twitter on X or whatever, Luna_trades_, just like my YouTube, and then on Instagram also Luna Trades. So I think you could find me if you search Luna Trades, you'll find me enough. And yeah, I have a free Discord I made recently just so people can always get in touch with me, called Trade Sauce. And beyond that, though, you can just find me on socials. And thank you so much for having me on, man. It's been really fun. And first time on another stream, I won't lie, it's a little bit nerve-wracking compared just considering that I do it every day. You know,
yeah, I mean, you do it every day.
Considering I'm already on every day, it still feels like new, and I feel it. Like I might be on my account, on my stream, blowing accounts, or not really blowing accounts, but taking more trades and stuff. And I definitely felt the accountability being here with you and hearing what you're looking at, and I really enjoy it.
No, awesome, man. This was great. I think we had really, really good conversation. Thanks for coming on, man. I'll definitely hop on your stream one day. We got to run this back. Talking about doing some like joint streams. You get like 3 people on, right? That'd be pretty cool as well. But thanks for coming on. Chat, smash like, smash subscribe. Go follow Luna Trades on YouTube. He's trading live every day. He's as real as they come. As you can see, this dude shows everything in between. Talks about the good, bad, the ugly. No crazy egos here, man. Just showing what real trading looks like for us. That's it. Remember,
good.
guys. Yeah, remember, guys. No financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. Trading's risky. Most traders lose money. Do your own research. Make your own trading decisions. Not a suggestion or recommendation to do anything. Read CFTC Rule 4.41 on simulated trading, which is what this is, even in funded prop firm accounts, and the affiliate and partnership disclaimer that says I stand to make money from links and codes in my content like Top 1 Futures, code RDF, bookmap. Important to be transparent about that. Smash like, smash subscribe. See you trading live next week. Have an awesome weekend. Thank you, Luna Trades. See you guys soon.
Thank you.